Disclaimer. This show is for discussion and entertainment purposes only. The Finding Gnosis Show is a platform for open discussion, exploration, and opinion sharing. The views expressed by hosts, guests, and participants are personal opinions and do not constitute professional, medical, legal, or financial advice. All topics discussed are only intended to spark curiosity, entertain, and encourage independent thought. If any subject interests you, we strongly advise conducting your own thorough research using reliable and professional sources. Critical thinking and due diligence is key. Stay curious, stay informed, be well, be lucky, and don't be an arsehole.
Hello, everybody. Welcome again to the final. Not the final. Sorry. Okay, that was a good start. Welcome again to the Finding Gnosis show. I do hope you are exceedingly well, and we will just be having a conversation tonight because I got on there a bit late. So yeah. We won't be doing any reading or anything. Hello to Anno Banano. How you doing? You alright? Hope you're well. So yeah, we're just waiting really for people to join. We'll have a bit of meditation, a bit of a chillax while we wait for participants to join the panel. Okay. And to join the panel, you can do so using the link in the live chat, which I will share now. Okay, just give me one moment to do that. Okay. There you go. I've just shared it, so you can come on now if you want to. But yeah, we'll just wait for someone to join. Who will it be? Hello to Brother Marcus. Welcome. How you doing, sir? You okay?
Hi, can you hear me all right?
Yep, I can hear you very well. Thank you. Just turned off the music.
Okay, cool. Just making some dinner. I have to go in like 10 minutes, but I saw you were on.
Okay, so you got to go somewhere, have you?
Yeah, in 10 minutes.
Right.
How are you?
Yeah, no, I'm not too bad, thank you. I'm not too bad. Didn't get on in time to, spend a bit of time reading the eschatology Wikipedia stuff, but maybe next time. What about you?
I don't know, just another day.
Another day.
Another day. Yep.
Yeah, I watched Todd Grande's take on the unfortunate events of the weekend, Anno.
Oh, what? He covered it?
Yeah, he covered it. Yes.
Oh my God. What did he say?
He basically said some people, like this young man, have these skewed views. And basically, there are certain people from a therapeutic stance who don't want help and are kind of narcissistic. And they intellectualize things and argue things, even though it's not beneficial to them, therapeutically. They just won't accept that they can improve their life, and that basically
Wow.
people who view the world in such a negative light are just doing so because of brain chemistry and their mindset.
Okay.
That was his spicy take.
Yeah, that
Was that Todd Grande you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh.
It doesn't sound too spicy. That sounds just very basic, I guess.
Have you ever tried this on a cell phone?
Yep.
I'm on the cell phone right now.
Oh, well, I'm about to switch from desktop site to mobile site, so I hope I don't get booted.
You can try.
I'm gonna watch the video anyway. Like it's. I was hoping he would do some type of analysis on the ideology, or I don't know. That would have been interesting.
I think he mentioned antinatalism and anti-life and maybe promortalism, but he actually didn't mention ephilism.
That's fine. Just even those three would be interesting to hear his thoughts on.
He basically just made out they're the thoughts of sick minds. Yeah.
Wow. How flattering.
I'm missing the good stuff.
Sorry, what did you say, Arno?
Oh, I said I missed the good stuff because I was adjusting with my website.
That's okay. We didn't really say much. Anybody else want to come on? Please do. Link is in chat. So yeah.
I changed my Google pic in advance, so now that's good.
Yeah. That is good. So, Anno, have you had any other thoughts on reality since we spoke last?
Not really. Just been working, so I haven't had much time to think. But I'm hoping if you bring up something interesting, I might have some thoughts.
Do you have pet birds? I like the sound of birds, but I'm just curious.
Now I'm just outside right now because the dogs wanted to go outside.
Oh, okay. You just have a very bird-friendly neighborhood, I guess.
My grandpa lived in the same property, and he feeds them seeds. So yeah.
Hello to Dominic. Do you want to come on here, brother? Yeah.
How's your day?
Is that for me or for Anno?
Both.
Oh, both. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I spent too much time chatting on the internet last night, and I got up and I was very tired today.
Who were you talking
I'm
to?
gonna have some know-it-all. You know what I mean? And
wait, was it me, dude? I don't even remember when we talked.
Yes, I was chatting to you a little bit, brother Marcus. It
was
a
me?
few
Okay.
a few others on Discord, and what do you call it? Yeah, I stayed up too late. I can't do that again. So I have to rein in my overly late night conversations. Sorry, what did you say, Anna?
I was gonna say this is why I banned myself from Discord because I have no self-control there.
Yeah, what's that about? Is that like someone? I think Mark said it might be ADHD or something, like not being able to just leave or something. Is that what it is?
I have no idea.
I have no idea. It could be like OCD, ADHD. It could just be, I don't know, having a very good conversation.
Yeah, I think it's that as well. You know.
Mhm.
Mm.
I didn't have any good conversations. I was always like distressed while having them.
Mm. Well,
I'm
forgive
kind of
me, folks.
unhinged.
I'm eating a coconut macaroon, vegan coconut macaroon, and it's very nice. Mm. Sorry, you Sam?
That sounds lovely.
Mm. With
Vegan
a cup of
macaroon?
red
A man
cream.
of culture.
Oh. Sorry, you were saying, Anna?
Oh, I said a vegan macaroon? That's like a man of culture.
Well, it is easy to buy what is kind of junk food now. I mean, it is more or less junk food what I'm eating. It tastes nice though. And on that note, I do have to add some more hot water to my tea. It's gone a bit cold. I'll be right back.
Do we typically get more people here?
Yes, I don't know what's happening.
I tried to
Have
watch
you,
the Todd Grande vid. I got like 75% through.
is it long?
I
How
don't
long
know,
is
but
it?
I usually get mentally triggered while watching that stuff because I always feel like I'm the bad person when he's talking about him.
Uh, well, especially with covering that topic. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I don't know. I mean, some of the stuff mentioned in the manifesto, I agree with. I don't agree with like doing a risky action that he did because even if he was just trying to kill himself, he knew that he could take others as collateral, and you know that's not good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like he had even veganism listed. So like he put a lot of labels on that website.
I feel like he was linking those beliefs with grandiosity, and yet I feel the same way sometimes. I feel like I know I feel like I've discovered an unfortunate truth. I don't think it's because I'm more intelligent than others. I think it's because I've had enough
Supposedly.
misfortune.
Yeah.
Is that grandiosity, or is it just like, I don't know?
I don't know. But yeah, I have a feeling when I watch that video, he's gonna go like he's gonna say some things about things like I don't know. I don't like. There's a lot of vegans out there. I don't know how you can generalize veganism.
What about antinatalists?
Wow, there have been some studies about anti-natalists. They don't show. They don't show some. There's some trends. Some people have been skeptical about that, the way, the methodology of the studies, but there's an unfortunate correlation. I mean, yeah.
But still, could you? I feel like even the philosophy itself is not linked to the people who follow it.
Well, I think people believe in the conclusion. I think the majority of people do not actually engage with the philosophy. There's enough polling data to say that. Uh, but we've all come to the same conclusion about non-procreation. So there's that. But just because we come to the same conclusion doesn't mean that we came to it through the same reasoning. So the reasoning could come from various ways of yeah. Like some people could be like, "Hey, I really don't want someone to suffer," and then the other person would be like, "I don't. I really hate humans, and I just don't want more humans here." You know, there's different ways of. justifying that.
Is it wrong
Like,
to resent your own situation without really blaming your progenitors because you know they had no free will either and they were just operating on like a biological forces?
Oh yeah, I don't blame my parents at all. Like, but I know that in AN spaces, a lot of people do. But like, of course not. Like, they're just operating on what they know. Yeah.
I still blame some people because only the people who like they get mad at their kid for not being self-sufficient as an adult and they don't want to like help their adult kid. I think that is really hypocritical. I think those people
Mason, do you
deserve
want to
some
come on here,
blame.
brother?
Would you not agree with that?
Could you say that one more time?
I do think the people who don't help their adult children when they could, I think those people deserve some blame because they don't want to deal with the fallout of their decision. It's too much trouble, so they push it onto their child, and even though it was their choice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I agree with that. I think there could be some like really rare circumstances where, if your kid is like a grown adult, who's like 30, 40s, and they're like, I don't know, some criminal or something like that that's doing a tremendous amount of harm. Like, at what point does your like do you like how much? What's the threshold of sacrifice to help out when someone's just beyond? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's just a sticky situation for sure, and I don't think no one.
But 9 times out of 10, I think parents could
There
help
is no.
out.
Yeah, there's like people don't really comprehend the weight of such a decision as procreation, and you can't hold them responsible for their whole like life to that point. But like, it's almost like if you put a button in front of somebody and said if you push the button, something terrible could happen. But like, pushing the button doesn't feel like it has a lot of weight. Like what I'm saying is like, let's say you were gonna personally stab someone to death. That takes a lot more. Like you would know the weight of your action versus if you hit a button and it stabs someone to death.
Yep, it's like the trolley problem. There's two variations of it. You can pull a lever, or you can push someone off a bridge to stop the train. And people's answers change depending on that.
It kind of reminds me how in wars people were disconnected from like the harm they do. Like maybe they just flipped a switch and it killed people.
Yeah. That was actually part of the drone when they started coming out with drones in war. That was part of the ethical discussion about like, is it good that people are able to do this from a screen versus being like seeing the consequences of reactions firsthand? We know where that went, but it was still interesting part of the conversation because I think that's correct. I think that's definitely part of the equation.
That's why I know that a lot of people who choose to be parents, even though I feel their stance is not like the most rational, ethical one, I still think they are better people than me, like most of them, because most of them actually have enough compassion to raise a child, whereas I don't think I would, but at least I know enough not to bring a child in that I would neglect.
Mm-hmm.
But weirdly enough, they're more better people than me because they feel more kindness and nurturing, and I don't.
Do you feel compassion towards animals or anything else, or no?
Actually, maybe I do. I sometimes just question my own emotions, but I know I feel compassion towards animals. But I feel like as I've gotten older, I've gotten more numb. Like I used to get more upset, like crying or sad. Sometimes I still get that way, but sometimes I just laugh. Like it sounds twisted, but I feel like I've seen too much, or I don't know, something has just happened because if you live life by having that much emotional weight, eventually you just can't.
Mm-hmm.
That's my theory about why. I don't know really why, but I do hate that because if I could, like I said, I would flip a switch to where I feel all the appropriate emotions to everything. But like I'm not in control of that. Do you think one is the source of one's own emotions?
Are you asking? I don't know. Was that a chat?
Do you think that a person is the source of their own emotions, or the emotions arise from factors outside of their control?
I think it could be both, maybe. I don't know who's pulling the strings. I think there's a whole host of biopsychosocial social factors in play: biological, sociological, psychological,
I think the
environmental.
most
Like the environment that we're in has a part to play, I think.
you could argue is that maybe it's like a cumulative result of all of our past decisions has sort of resulted in what we are on this day. But still, that's not fair that you can't change that stuff, and now you're stuck in a certain type of personality. Because I do think that after the formative years are over, your personality is like more like rigid.
Yeah.
Did D&W ever warm up his tea yet?
Sorry, I am here. Yeah, I've actually drank my tea, and I'm now drinking 7-Up free. So there you go.
Nice. Well, I gotta head out, but I might hop on later if you're still up. But
yeah, I don't know what the participation is going to be like now. Anybody else want to come on? Thanks, brother Marcus.
Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Take care, buddy. Bye.
Boredom.
Boredom. Well, I suppose we'll just meditate until somebody comes on. Is that okay, Anna?
Sure. What does that mean? We just sit here and be quiet?
Play some music or something, yeah.
All right.
Anna, if you want, you can read something. Oh, you're on your phone, aren't you? I was going to say you could read the eschatology that we were studying, but if you're on your phone, there's no point in me asking you to do that.
I'm actually just up and about doing chores, so.
No problem, no problem.
Did you change your opinion about free will recently? Because I thought you used to not believe in it at all, and now you're not sure.
No, I still can't see any evidence for free will. I do err on the side that, there isn't any. It does seem to be a completely deterministic universe. And humans being part of that system don't seem to be in any way different from it, unfortunately. What about you? I know what you are. You
basically, you can't. Because you can't be sure of anything at all, but as sure as you can be of anything, you're sure that you don't. had free will, probably.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't appear that we have it.
What do you typically think of Todd Grande?
Sorry, what was that? What did you say, Anna?
What's your opinion of Todd Grande?
He's okay. I mean, I think he's a little bit too clinical and not enough emotional intelligence in my view. Sometimes it seems a little bit cold. Sometimes, you know, too clinical, cold. Dare I say, inhumane? Sometimes to me. What about you? Can't hear you, Anna. You're muted. Are you there, Anna?
Hear me now?
Yeah.
For some reason it unconnected from my Bluetooth and now it's on the regular microphone.
No problem. So what do you think of
fix it.
what do you think of him?
I'll tell you in a
Okay.
minute. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No problem.
I got it coming back through the Bluetooth. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I don't know, honestly. I have I guess I made my judgment on him from an irrational point of view, obviously. Well, in my opinion, there is no such thing as like an unbiased human opinion. We all have emotions that really are the real reason why we make a decision, and then we use logic to try to make it seem like it's justified.
Okay. Hello to Mason.
Hello, how are we?
Yeah, we're okay. We're okay. We're surviving. You know.
Good. That's the goal.
That's the goal. Mason, have you got anything you'd like to enunciate to the world, to the universe, or to just Anno and I?
I'd be very curious your thoughts on what you were saying about free will. I enjoy talking about free will.
Do you? Well, I don't think there is any, Mason. I think it's an illusion.
So what do you think choice is?
Yes, you are choosing something between A and B, but the actual the kind of mechanics behind the choice, i.e., your brain, your intellect, your emotions, your hormones, all those things that are affecting how you choose is completely outside of your control.
So well, what do you think about the word influences? These things are influences.
Yes, you could say some things are influences, some things are more impactful than others.
True, yes, very.
But I still think there are predispositions that are going to be influenced one way or another by those impacts, and again, you don't choose the level of impact or influence. You can't control that.
I think it's simpler when you frame it as a battle between desires, but no matter what, none of those desires actually originated with you. Like, maybe you have a desire to be skinny, but you also have a desire to eat ice cream. Sometimes the desire to eat ice cream wins, and sometimes the desire to be skinny wins. And sometimes people don't have a desire to be skinny, but like they didn't, who gave them the desire to be skinny, or who gave them the desire to eat ice cream? Because if they could, they would just turn off their desire to eat ice cream.
Ice cream is kind of fun, though. I actually wish I liked ice cream more. I'm not a huge fan of ice cream to begin with. But wasn't this addressed in the Cogito?
Sorry, can you explain that, please?
Well, I think, therefore I am thinking, therefore I am, is the foundation of modern philosophy. And
Well,
it doesn't
just
oh, go
because
on.
Descartes said that doesn't mean there's any. Just because you're thinking doesn't mean you have free will, right? You can be thinking in a manner that's deterministic.
Well, the
I would add
thinking,
that sentence just shows the limitations of language too.
well, language is ever evolving, luckily. There are certainly a lot of efforts to limit it. But doesn't the Cogito, well, okay. The Cogito basically says, I am considering these choices. That much I can know for certain. We don't know if the choices are real. We don't know if the choices are orchestrated. We don't know if we're being manipulated, but we know for sure that we are considering. And it seems to me that our choices have impacts on the reality around us. Are we all in agreement so far?
To be honest with you guys, I am not in a position really to give you full attention tonight. I'm very sorry, but I'm happy to provide the space for others to talk. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So Anno, can you do the talking, please? And I'm going to sit back a bit tonight and listen.
I don't know about that. That's a big undertaking.
Well, I can just keep going if you would prefer. I like the dialogue format a little more, but I can certainly
I can
Well, if anybody else wants to
listen.
come on, please
try
do.
to fly
Please
on
do.
my own. Okay, so the
I got my phone
if you
in the
want to
drop
call it
tire
the
crack.
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I only got quiet earlier because I dropped my phone in an impossible crack. Everything is happening bad whenever I open this stream. I think the universe doesn't want me to be in this stream.
Phones are slippery and thin and dense. They have a way of doing that. But yeah, so the Cogito basically defines or views free will as the mere act of considering, the mere act of thinking. What we build from there might all be illusion, you know? We could wake up tomorrow, get unplugged from the Matrix, wake up on Mount Olympus on a magic altar. The gods are sitting around us, and sure, I guess. But it still stands to reason that we exist on this earth. We cooperate, we learn, we explore, and we find out together sustainably.
But the thoughts that are in your head are obviously come from somewhere else, not even from you. Because, like, for example, if you've never experienced something before or never been taught what something is, then you won't ever think of that thing until you learn what it is. So obviously, your
that's
thought
why we know.
repertoire is limited.
Keep going. Sorry.
I'm done. I'm sorry.
Okay. Sorry. Well, that's how we know that thoughts themselves aren't the origin, is one way of looking at that. Because if thoughts were the origin, yeah, where do they start? What, even if they can branch and change to define other things or illustrate other things, what did they start with? And that's why, yeah, I believe there is a material cosmos, and the things that happen in it are results of material interactions. And I'm excited to sustainably find out, because what's the worst that could happen if we reverse climate change? What's the worst that could happen if we start feeding people? What's the worst that could happen if we solve disease? better than, the worst that's happening right now, at least, I think. So, anyway, that's how I think about free will, and I like to look at it as a little bit of a joke. It's like, you know what, if the joke is on us one day, let's be proud of what we did anyway.
No, I get what that is, because I would not like to cause harm in the world. But
Yeah, absolutely.
I just, you gotta realize, some people, the idea of free will gives them comfort, but for others it causes distress, because some people are somewhere in a position to know that they are not ideal, but they are not in a position to change it.
You're seeming to suggest that people can be too far gone.
Kind of.
Who would be one of these people?
Maybe me, because, like, let's say that I did not genuinely glean enjoyment from not causing harm. Like, then it would all be an act, and that would be exhausting, because you could act, you could become an actor in order to, because you know you're doing what is right on a rational level, but emotionally you're not invested in it. So it would be like maintaining an act for the rest of your life.
I suppose that could be a danger. I'm struggling to see the danger of a world full of people who just pretended to be good their whole life. It sounds like it's still a pretty good world to me. And
Well,
so are you saying that you are only moral, you are only, striving to be ethical and non-harmful because it feels good? That's why you do it?
I don't know.
Well, that is what you said, but I'm just giving you a chance to
Well, actually, I was saying maybe
consider
I
it a
don't
little.
enjoy it. Maybe I was saying I don't enjoy it, and
Oh, you
not.
don't enjoy being.
Maybe I was saying that it's. I do though, but I don't know. I genuinely,
Well,
I do. I do
think
on some
about
level, or
this if
maybe
you want.
I think. Well, let me just say, more so,
Sure.
being bad would be too much effort for me. Planning
It is a
out,
lot of
and
effort.
I'm lazy. I'm lazy, really. It's not,
That's
I don't
really
have an
true. No, it's
interest.
really true.
I don't have an
Lies are hard to
interest in
keep
doing
track
bad
of.
things.
Yeah, that's funny and true and very true. Think about it this way though. If being the kind of person who you are or strive to be is something that you don't enjoy but do anyway, what higher form of morality is there?
Yes, but you
And
have to
on the
realize you would
reverse,
always feel empty. Because for me, I see people, sometimes I wonder if they
wait.
don't feel as empty as me, because they actually feel something when, like, they feel an urge to help people, and it makes them feel whole seeing
Well,
that be accomplished. And some
you're
people, maybe
still
they don't
unsure of
experience.
whether or not you can feel your own emotions, right? Why are you so certain of theirs?
Well, maybe they're really good actors.
Yeah, maybe. Let's talk instead about what you feel, if you want. Do you feel empty?
I really don't know. Sometimes.
Well, that's not a no. There are things you can do to address that. I really, really want you to know I mean it when I say that, as someone who has spent a long time feeling empty. And we can talk about anything. I'll probably go here in a minute, but I'm here to talk about whatever.
Was D&W gonna actually join if more people came on?
The mod, yeah, I don't know. I wanted to make a joke about how we'll try not to talk all over each other, make your job easy here.
Well, the conversation was really interesting on Friday, but I was not willing to join at that time, and now that I am, nobody's here.
Which, what was being talked about Friday?
Like banana DNA, and I don't even know.
Banana do have DNA, is the word on the street.
The banana do?
Yeah. All life is connected. Do you like that thought? Do you like that idea?
Yes and no. Because really, when you say that, I just picture how all life is in a selfish race to survive and trample other life in order to survive, because DNA makes us all feel like we need to survive as long as possible, and yeah.
Do we need to be? What's strong?
Well, most people,
Let's say that
most people eat meat.
Go ahead. You can finish what you were saying. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say is that you said, do we need to be? And I'm like, well, I don't know, but it seems that humans can't really thrive without meat. Personally, I don't like meat, but I get that most people eat meat, so that's an example of how life is just a cruel cycle.
Do you think that for people who do eat meat, they're excited about how much suffering was produced in order to create it for them?
Some people do double down about that, and it seems, but I guess most people don't. Probably not.
Is so strong. Yeah, most for the other half. Yeah, we could say most. People just want a better way. There are solutions out there, but they don't benefit those who have all of the power and wealth. I don't mean to get political, but the world is politically organized.
Well, I'm a leftist, so I do agree that, or a sort of a leftist. I don't know. Maybe I don't agree with all of it, but I do think the top richest people in the world are.
All right. Sorry, no, I don't mean that derogatorily at all. That's a very leftist thing to say. It's in my understanding. Sorry, I got distracted.
To say that someone is a leftist is, what's a leftist thing to say?
What? Are you asking me? You cut out a little tiny bit.
Yeah, what is a leftist thing to say? What did I say that was leftist?
Oh, no, just when you said, I'm a leftist. Well, I think I'm a leftist. I'm mostly that recursive following trail. That was what I was saying. Is like, oh yeah, you're a leftist, right?
Oh, because of the gatekeeping, so nobody's sure if you're a leftist?
No. Just, very, very considerate of the gate, whether or not you keep it. But, it's all beside the point. I would be I am left-leaning myself politically as well. But yeah, on the idea that all life is connected, let's say that you are in a survival situation all of a sudden. And before you are two options, competition or coordination. Which is the correct option? And I choose the word correct very rarely.
Competition or coordination?
Yes, in a survival situation.
Coordination, if you can.
Yeah, that is correct.
I've been saying, why does human society...
the idea that all life is connected, that's what that idea evokes in me.
How come human society doesn't follow the principles of diffusion, where resources go from an area of highest concentration to lowest until it's uniformly distributed? Why is it that we use pumps? It's like we use a pump to pump everything to the top, which consumes more energy than just passive processes.
Yeah. And the bigger sin in my mind is not opulence, it's unsustainability. It's the fact that this modern machine is powered by harm, suffering.
Opulence seems like a sin to me when there is the opposite thing on the other side, poverty and all that.
Yeah, well, and that's why those things aren't opposites. One necessitates the other, honestly. Because the wealth has been here all along. Ain't nobody left Earth yet. You know, it's, anyway. But anyway, that's what the idea of all life is connected. I just see a bunch of teammates or potential teammates. In a world that
But
is
that
already
might be
overwhelmingly democratic, and not like left right spectrum democratic. I just mean democracy. Democracy is already like kind of the overwhelming political force in a world where everyone wants to coordinate, and there are massive resources, and we don't need to shed blood to fix it. In fact, this time, let's please not shed blood to fix it.
I'll tell you why that I'll tell you why that I'm afraid to say that I'm a leftist.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because it seems like you can't be considered a leftist unless you say that Stalin was fine and communism was good, and it's like I don't know that was all okay. I mean, it may not. Like, they compare the atrocities of that and say it's equal to what America has done, like with the CIA, and I'm like, yeah, but what if we had a third option, like not capitalism and not communism, but like something entirely new?
Yeah. I mean, genuine, like, and the reality is too, like, personally, I find hilarious reality is that if everyone went into it knowing that they were on the same team and already agreeing, like, hey, we're going to take care of everybody, okay? Nobody left behind. Literally any system could work. You could give all of the wealth on Earth to one man, and if everyone on Earth was, like, genuinely caring about each other, the wealth would find its way out anyway. We could celebrate the wealth finding its way out to where it's needed.
But what about?
Yeah,
do you really
but
want?
It's also fair to say too. It's just I don't know. When most people refer to the idea of communism or socialism, they're referring to the idea of like where the wealth goes after the fact. Like we're all. Here's what I'm trying to say. We are all united on the idea of sharing. That's the important part. Call it whatever we want to, as long as we are coordinating and sharing. And yeah, there's a lot of really simple stuff we could do to just build that into our society. Anyway. Okay, well, I might hop off there. DNW, thank you so much for doing this show.
Mason, thank you. You're you are very articulate, and I appreciate your well-meaning contributions.
Absolutely well-meaning. Thank you for that word. And yeah, take care. Any last things? I don't ever know how to end conversations.
Yeah, come back again.
Okay, I'll plan on it. Thank you all so much.
Take care, buddy. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, if anybody else wants to come on, there is an opportunity to do so, obviously. The link is in chat. I suppose while we're waiting for that to happen, we'll just meditate. Oh, Brother Marcus is back already. Hello to Brother Marcus. Mason, I suppose I'll have to... You said you left, mate, but you're still here. So I presume you accidentally stayed here, right? if that's the case, I can kick you out of the studio just for your own sake, in case you start like talking or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
because
smart.
you might not know you. He might not know. He might not know he's on the stream. Are you on the?
Yeah,
He's gone. He's
okay.
gone. Okay, good.
Like sometimes
All
I
right.
think if you close a window instead of clicking on leave, it doesn't leave you or something.
Yeah. Well, Mason's a very nice fellow. I'm glad he comes on here. You know, he's a very caring and considerate fellow. He does care. So, yeah, hello to everybody here, and welcome, Brother Marcus. You're back. And
If I leave
what's
without saying anything, I'm just waiting. I have a meeting, but it looks like I didn't get any notification yet. I'm just waiting for it to start. So I was like,
I'll tell you something juicy you could talk about.
okay.
Oh no, what's that?
Oh no!
Whatever happened to that conundrum saga? Because I was waiting for the big, massive rebuttal, and I don't think there ever was one.
Are you talking about me and Conundrum having a little back and forth at Christmas time or around that period, was it?
Yeah, wacky conundrum.
My God, you do pay attention.
Yeah,
I suppose, yeah. I never. Yeah.
I pay attention to certain things. I don't watch everything.
Yeah.
Well, that was like, yeah. You made 3 or 4 videos on that, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not as. I really wasn't overly invested in having a debate about it, you know, because I have my opinions, he has his.
Yeah, but you did say you promised that I will get back to this, and he said, "Yeah, no pressure, anytime."
Yeah. I think I'm not sure. I've made a few bit of content since on AN, but I'm not sure if I addressed what he was. I'll have to go and revisit what exactly he was asking me. But yeah, I just remember thinking, oh, I can't be asked of this, to be honest with you. But yeah, I'll have to revisit.
Yeah, and for the record, you know how I said, "Oh, one day when you have the energy, we'll debate this." I'm not going to do that. At least not like I don't have any after this weekend. Fuck it, I don't give a shit. Like, yeah, this isn't something I'm gonna.
Right.
I need to convince you.
You don't need to change hearts and minds towards a. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Whatever happened to petrol pleasurists? Yeah. Let's hope not. He did like licking poopy bottoms. So let's hope he didn't succumb to that. But I think he's okay, because I did comment on one of his videos just to see how he was, and he gave it a heart. So that means he's still around. He's just not joining in, you know.
Do you think he'll do something though eventually, or no?
Sorry?
About Conundrum. Like, do you think he'll do something eventually, or just no?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just might have a chat with him. I mean, maybe even just a conversation. We'll see how it goes, you know.
That'd be nice.
I probably will do something eventually, although my heart isn't really in it anymore. But I will probably do something, you know. I'm.
You know, he believes other stuff, right? Like, he's an interesting fellow.
He's a very interesting fellow. Yeah, he's a very interesting fellow. He's a very clever
Well,
guy.
have you seen his Reddit though? Because sometimes when he replies to people, it's like really like angry. I'm like, holy, you be mean.
Is he? Passionate, maybe. Maybe he's just passionate.
Yeah.
Hello to Yerf.
Well, he was like, I'm not reading this shit.
D Prophet, do you want to come on here?
Conundrum's an acquired taste. Okay.
I used to like his, I haven't seen his content in a while, but I used to like his videos actually. He was
I used to like his videos too, some of them.
I still had a thing with him about what is the source of truth about the literature. Yeah, I that hasn't been resolved, and honestly, I don't think I care at this point.
Yeah.
Because I've seen with my own eyes about the literature, so I know too much.
Right. Yeah, I mean, when you start realizing that, you know, people are quoting sources, and then you look at the sources.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I've said that before. Like, yeah, it's all very well. I've tried to articulate this before. Yes, it's important to have a framework of like evidence, like to back up what you're saying. But it becomes difficult because evidence is a strong word to use in philosophy, you know, because it's not evidence. It's just, I mean, in many ways, it's what someone else has said, and that's fair enough. It's good to give credence to someone else when they've said it before you. So, you know, you're not plagiarizing or whatever. But it's not like science. There's no fucking experiment that's done that's proven something either way, you know. For sure, you know, with evidence and such, you know, it is still opinion, right, Brother Marcus?
Yeah.
From a perspective.
Now, to be fair, there are better opinions than others, and if you can show your reasoning,
it's exactly it does help support your reasoning, of course, but still, one has to look at the truth of it, and that there are some real dodgy kind of philosophers out there who could be quoted. But yeah, I suppose it comes down to, you know, just because someone quotes something doesn't mean it's true. You know that as well, Brother Marcus. We don't have to explain that one, but yeah, what's more important is, can the person make the argument and can they communicate clearly what they think themselves, you know? Obviously, yes, they can rely on sources, but if they're going to give a source, yeah, they should be able to explain it as well, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's about communicating it's about communicating what you as the person speaking things, you know. Don't try not to rely on the thoughts of others. Have your own thoughts, you know. It's very important for a person to have their own thoughts, you know. Yes, they can be influenced and even based upon others, but at least be able to, if you're doing that, explain it and explain why you're attaching yourself to them, you know.
Yeah. I wanted to interview or like have some chats about like with some people in the community. It may happen in the future, but like right now, I'm just kind of, the wind's been knocked out of me.
Right.
Because I do think like people like what's his name, the anti-natalist informant, Conundrum, you know, like all those people, I think they're very interesting folks, and I'm glad
even
that
Lenny, you know, Lenny as well. I mean,
yeah, I'm glad like my path crossed with all these people, and they gave me food for thought. It's been very interesting intellectually, for sure.
Yeah. It's been an exercise in moving to acceptance of the kind of meaninglessness of everything, but also
even people not like Ted, the naturalist Ted guy. You know, was a generic subjective continuity, like, you know,
yeah. Which I mean, I have a lot of I don't quite know his exact argument on it.
Even if I reject it, though, I just meant it was interesting, you know.
To paraphrase a famous YouTuber, I don't need to read, I have all the answers. Yeah, we know who you're referring to there, Mr. Trouble, Mr. Trouble himself.
Yeah.
Is it somebody whose name starts with I?
Yeah. I am
the
great I am. I am the great I am. So who else is here? Anybody else want to come on?
Wait, maybe then we're not thinking who I was thinking.
No, it is. It is who you think it is. Yeah. Not me.
Does their name rhyme with ham?
Ham?
Yeah. The last part of their name.
What the fuck is he Voldemort all of a sudden?
D Prophet, are you around to come on here? It's been a while since you were included in the conversation.
Yeah, what happened to him?
He's probably at work. I don't know what time it is where he is, but yeah, he probably, or maybe he's on his way home. I don't know.
I don't actually want to talk about it, but like, I would like to hear him chime in.
I'm fed up of it, to be honest with you, but yeah.
I know. I just meant like in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is important because obviously it's an outlet for people to air their views. And
like when you guys were changing from no longer being an anti-natalist, like, yeah, I was just so curious what he felt or thought about that stuff. I don't think he knew at the time.
Say that again, mate.
like when you noodles were stepping away from antinatalism, I thought, like, what does D Prophet think of that? And
I think he does know about that. I think he's mentioned it jokingly before.
I know, but just curious.
Yeah, he
like,
can come
he
on.
entered in the antinatalist world, and you know, a
Are
couple
we
years
talking
later,
about Ham? Ham knew that
No, we're
DMW
talking about
was talking.
we're talking about D Prophet here. D Prophet.
Yeah, D Prophet.
Oh, I never heard of him.
No,
Oh, well, he has a story.
he's in the chat. Yeah.
I'm still kind of disappointed about that, but it's okay.
What about what?
Mm.
No longer antinatalist.
What? That I am not one.
A little, but whatevs.
What difference does it make to you?
I don't know. I like having content, and there was only 4 people, and now I have 3 people.
You can make your own if you want. I mean, there's plenty of content. And there's a whole load of it, better than mine, if you want to do the kind of philosophical, analytical stuff. There's loads of that.
Would you be disappointed if someone, like, let's say someone was no longer vegan?
Yes, I would actually, if they change their mind. But having said that, I do also understand that. I know this is bad, but I do believe that there are certain people, unfortunately, who have serious immune problems, and I don't blame them, if they have an immune problem.
No, I get that too, and I think I would extend more grace than that. I was just saying, you seem surprised that I would be a little disappointed, but I don't think it would be any different than the example I gave. Like, what if you were disappointed?
No, but there's a big difference. Someone who who leaves AN, and for example, I don't have any intentions to father a child. You know what I mean? So there's a difference between that and like someone who leaves veganism and starts eating hamburgers.
Yeah, because I guess it doesn't matter what thoughts are in your head as long as the output is the same.
I suppose. But as I've said before, and I do mean this, AN people can't guarantee they're doing any actual good in the world by their actions, or inactions, So it's nothing to get on your, sorry to use this phrase as a vegan or whatever, but it's nothing to get on your high horse about. Sorry, guy, I did that thing again. Sorry, mate. I kicked you out. Yeah.
All good. It happened
on
my end
Gaia?
in like a microsecond, so I didn't even really notice it.
Yeah. How are you doing? Are you all right?
Doing pretty good, yeah. Yep. Been running a little bit on first gear the past couple days, but I'm making some progress. So, doing some things.
Interesting. Want to elaborate on any of that, or?
Oh, sure. I was making a little rough draft on the whole. There's that whole freaking debate on the natalism versus antinatalism and the, internal philosophy versus the enacted philosophy. And, I was working on nailing down that on regard to my views. So I got this little, what's it called, rough draft right here. It's, while my philosophical orientation leads to salutogenesis, the fostering of life, meaning, and well-being, my ethical praxis is rooted in existential nurturance theory, the radical recognition that being is not neutral but shaped moment by moment by structures of care or neglect. To be born is not to be liberated, but to be entrusted to a system of nurture. My activism and scholarship aim to align the world more closely with the promise of salutogenesis by intervening whenever existential nurturance is broken, denied, or pathologized. So,
okay, can you explain? Is it salutogenesis? Is that what you call it?
Yeah. So I just discovered this term the other day. So salutogenesis is the study of health and focuses on the factors that support human health and well-being rather than on focuses that cause disease. You know, everybody looks at mental health or spirituality or, you know, mental illness. Everybody looks through the lens of pathogenesis, of disease, you know, the negativity. And I'm flipping the script around, looking at through the lens of positivity.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I think I mean, there's definitely there definitely is the viewpoint that if people felt better, you know, they probably wouldn't come to pessimistic thought. And I know a lot of people disagree with that. There are people that say, "Oh, but my life's okay. I'm still AN." I don't quite believe that, to be honest with you. I think that people who get to that level of thinking, it's better never to have been, or it's better not to bring someone into it. I think they know what suffering is. I think they've experienced some level of suffering. They understand it. They know what it feels like. So they've had some level of the feeling of suffering that has influenced their thoughts. Now, yeah. So if we all felt a certain way, we wouldn't come to the viewpoint that it was better never to have been, for example. But having said that, that may be okay for humans, but it does leave the problem of animal suffering, I suppose. But then the argument there is that these animals live differently to us. They live in the moment, but I'm not quite sure about that. You know, I don't think that all animals live just in the moment. You know, I think they do have memories. They do have.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, no, that's some of the work they've been doing on with the great apes.
Yeah, so yeah, look, as I've said, there's a lot to work on in this world, and existence is extremely complex, and extremely complex situations don't have, existence is the most complex situation. It's the all-encompassing situation, and it's not going to have a simple solution, you know. Just as existence is multifaceted, the problems that cause suffering are multifaceted. And just thinking you can do one thing to end suffering, for example, I think is ridiculous.
Yep.
There's tangential things that need to be considered, and then that often leads to more problems, worse problems, etc. And it can also cause the slowdown of progress in terms of helping to end suffering in other ways. So much to do about nothing, eh?
Were you saying earlier that it is bad if some people are disappointed? Like, would that say something bad about us if we were a little disappointed?
I know. Can you repeat that question? Sorry.
Yeah, were you saying it was bad? Like, is it bad that I was a little disappointed?
Well, I can't control your mind. I don't want to. I really don't want to influence your mind to the degree where you feel terrible about things. That's true. But yeah, you've got to question why you feel bad someone else has left an ideology that you follow. You got to question that, yeah. And oh, sorry, 1 second, guys. I'm just going to turn down the music. No, the music's off, as far as I know. I've muted it anyway. It was turned right down, Divine, but anyway, it's muted now totally. Yeah, so you got to ask yourself, why do you personally feel bad that someone you don't know, that you just stumbled across on the internet, and that person had a viewpoint and then they changed it. Now you don't know this person in truth. If you turned off the computer, they're not in your life. What does it really matter? In many ways, I am just a figment of your imagination. I know I'm just like something that pops into your mind. But I as soon as you think about something else, as soon as you think about something else, I'm not in your life. And
yeah, but
so what is so important? I just want to know what is so important to you that I believe the same things as you. I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I just want to ask, Why is it so important in a world of 8 billion people? Why is it so important?
I guess it isn't. Like, I guess.
Anno. And
Yeah.
this particularly relates to antinatalism, because I've already said not everybody is going to get on board with it. You do admit that, right? So not everybody is going to get on board with antinatalism.
I think most people will never get on board with it, like 99%
So therefore,
people. And
now that you admit that much, why do you give a rat's, derriere that I don't follow it or agree with it? I don't find it useful. Why do you why does that disturb you?
not on like big level. I guess it's just because I like to think there's other people out there who can see my pain on a certain level, because I guess
Well,
that's kind of.
I can see the pain. In fact, in many ways, I hate to say this, but I think I perhaps see things in more dire straits than some antinatalists, definitely F-lists. I mean, I found F-lists to be, despite them being viewed as a negative philosophy or pessimistic, I find them always to be bizarrely optimistic, about their views, that they could ever attain any substantial footing in the world, or enough footing in the world to do anything in regards to their end goals. I found that to be bizarrely optimistic, in fact, delusionally so. And I would say the same about AN. Anybody who thought they could change the world in terms of for the better with AN, I think it is, unfortunately, as someone who used to spread memes about it and such on Twitter, I think it is a bit of it's a delusion. It's a delusion. And yes, it's crying out into the voids, saying there's suffering, etc., etc. But you have to be realistic about it and admit that people just won't understand what you're saying.
I don't even think I'm not really interested in convincing people, but I just enjoy like when some people just naturally fall into it because they do. Like for me, I didn't take no convincing, because I guess that is true. When you're miserable, it's
But why do you enjoy when
not
other
hard to
people are
convince.
miserable? Hold on a second. Now, that's interesting. You said you're miserable, and then you enjoy when other people fall into it. So you're basically saying you enjoy other people being miserable. Do you not think that's a bit strange?
I don't enjoy other people being miserable. Well, I don't know.
But you
Maybe
just
you
said
don't
you're
you enjoy
miserable.
your.
You just, Anno, darling, you just said you're miserable, and you enjoy when other people get to the same viewpoint that your misery has brought you. I'm not condemning you for that. I'm just saying that is kind of what maybe I got it wrong, but that's what it sounded like.
Well, it's just relatable because some people just like to be able to relate. I'm not saying I want people to be miserable.
No, that's
Okay.
what I was getting. It's about the connection. It's not some sadism. You're not getting some sick pleasure out of causing negativity or pain in others. It's that commiserating over misery. The misery loves company, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but listen, it's fair enough to be connected to your fellow man, right? If you're two people who are suffering, right? But having said that, the problem lies in what you're going to do about that. Now, when you're two miserable people and you choose to latch onto an ideology that isn't going anywhere, that is in fact going to cause you and others more suffering, then I believe it becomes a irrational, delusional, just insane. It becomes unhelpful for you to latch onto it when ultimately it's harmful. Like what might be better, I know, is for you as someone who feels miserable. Maybe if you club together with another miserable person, but you basically just each tried to somehow raise your own feelings up to feeling some kind of contentment. I'm not saying it's possible for everyone. I'm just saying, would that not be better, though, Anna, as a use of trying to your camaraderie with others, trying to lift them up rather than lying down together under the weight of a philosophy that's going nowhere?
Well, first of all, you must have been in my place at some point, like at some level, because you were involved in the ideology. But so you must understand.
Well, yes, of course, but I understand why I personally found solace in it. Now, the reason I found solace in the Outlook initially was because, yes, existence is horrifying. There's a hell of a lot of suffering, and it doesn't seem to be. There's no this universe, this existence isn't just. The world isn't just. Okay, it does seem apparent that what people get, the load that they carry, the cross that they bear, isn't in any most often isn't evident as some kind of karmic comeuppance. Okay, it isn't evident as some kind of thing that they deserve to suffer. It just seems to be something that was handed to them by fate, and I find that very sad indeed. Yes, and so saying we shouldn't bring people into that. It did seem to me to be a good point that you shouldn't actually bring people into that. But then that's one perspective. But if you zoom out, you this is the problem of being human. We become myopic. We look at a book, we read a screen, we just sit down with our own thoughts. But we have to remember there are other people, reading other books or having different thoughts or presenting different things on different screens. And in many ways, that's just the world we live in. It's just a cacophony of different perspectives, different opinions, different sounds. I mean, you could go bleak on it and say none of it means anything, because when you analyze it to such an extent, you see we're all just shouting different oppositional things, and they ultimately cancel each other out to the point where humans are some weird animal just that doesn't have any centralized meaningful truth to its perspective.
Well, personally, I agree. Like, I don't think a human decisions will really impact things very much at all. And I also think, like, I don't think I'm better, like, really any better because of this mindset that I hold. I'm not better than anyone else.
So no, my point still stands though, Anno. If you have a negative view about reality, or you think we're in dire straits and there's a hell of a lot of suffering out there, and you admit then that actually not everyone's going to agree with that, and you admit also that it's fucking unjust. Some of us have been handed raw deals, but still, it shows that most people, whilst they commiserate and they think it's bad, it's not going to stop them from creating life. It's not going to. Okay, so when you see that, okay, yes, you have options. You can say, I'm going to go on a tangent where I say, well, I've got to fight against that, and then I'd say, if you're choosing to fight that level of power, some might say it's admirable, because although you're going to lose, you're making a stand. But I would say it's a stand for nothing.
A pipe dream.
It's not even a pipe dream. It's a stand for nothing, because you, to the great majority, you just seem like an insane person who is just crying out in pain, and they will see it as not taking accountability of your life, and it will actually cause damage then to other people who are in the same boat as you, who are suffering. Okay, so for example, they'll label you as a mentally ill person, and it will attach a stigma then to a mentally ill person, because that's what humans do. They see patterns, and when they see a mentally ill person, they'll say, oh, other mentally ill people are like that too. So for example, schizophrenics, everyone thinks, a lot of people are scared of schizophrenics, but in actual fact, schizophrenics statistically are more likely to have crimes committed against them than to commit a crime. They're more likely to be the victim of other humans than they are to impact on those other humans.
Well,
So
I don't think that's those people's fault for not being nice, because I mean, I don't like to look at people and say they're just dumb and mentally ill, or like say that they aren't. Like, I hate that thing too when people say you just aren't taking accountability, because that just, I don't know.
I'm just asking you to be honest with me. And sorry if I'm very tired tonight because I did stay up too late yesterday. Well, this morning. But I'm asking you, Anna, where is it getting you? Your attachment to the ideologies you currently feel a connection to. Where is it getting you in life? That's just something I want you to answer. And I take your time on that one because it's not an easy question. I want you to be honest. First of all, name the pessimistic attachments you have. Name them first, and then secondly, tell me where it's getting you and how long have you been attached to them and where it's got you.
It's fine as long as were you saying it's like it's a strange that I would experience a disappointment or something, like it's pathological?
No, I'm not. I'm merely saying at this juncture, Anna, I want you to answer these two questions. Now, you don't have to say anything, but I'm asking you firstly to say, what do you think are the pessimistic conclusions you've reached, yeah, about reality, yeah? And then from that, how long have you held these views and how has that impacted your life?
Well, the thing is, I don't really make it a big focus most of the time, but I mean, for me personally, it's a good thing that I didn't have children regardless. But
This
yeah,
is not
I don't.
about what you've did or done. You haven't named the pessimistic ideas that you have about reality. That's the first question. What are the pessimistic ideas that you hold on to about reality? That's the first one. You can name one or two or three or whatever. And then I want to know how long you've attached yourself to those ideas. That's all I want to know.
Okay, I'll just let that sit for a while then. I don't know.
All right. Well, we'll bring. Oh, sorry. I I said we'll bring Noodles on. He's already on. Sorry about that, Noodles. Noodles, brother. How are you doing?
Frustrated.
And what are you frustrated about? You silly vegan sausage. You.
Well, that sounded a little flirtatious, DNW.
Go on, Noodles. I'm not that way inclined, brother. But go on.
Oh, right. Wink, wink. No, just first world problems.
Okay. Have you got any views on anything we've been kind of, I suppose, superficially tapping into?
I don't even know what you've been talking about.
Well, we've been talking about attachment to pessimistic ideologies, attachment to negative outlooks on reality. And I'm just merely asking, can you remember a time, Noodles, I'll ask you then. Can you remember a time when you, sorry, do you consider yourself attached to a negative outlook at the moment? A negative, like not necessarily a distinct philosophy, but you might have your own individual, you know.
Well, these pessimistic ways of thinking are, they're built up on neural pathway structures in the brain. Like we get used to thinking that way, and then it becomes the only way that we are able to think without actually putting in a lot of effort to think differently, because we've programmed our brain, we've calibrated our brain to be that way.
Many would say that, but they make sense. They make perfect sense.
So, like, I don't know. I was watching some podcast the other day with some, psych buff person, and she was saying, like, how in certain African cultures, it's very common for men to hit women, or like fathers to beat their daughters, and they've studied these people, and the women in that culture don't show any signs of PTSD, but as soon as they're exposed to the idea of that being harmful or wrong, then they will start to develop those pessimistic ways of thinking about the situation. They'll start internalizing it rather than just viewing it as a normal, acceptable thing.
That's interesting, isn't it? It's kind of scary as well, but yeah.
Well, because, and I mean, I don't know. This was just what this lady on the podcast was saying. It's not, strong proof of anything, but if it is true, then it means that theoretically, a society could spring up, could be developed where almost any negative behavior becomes acceptable and normalized, because and wouldn't have the negative consequence psychological consequences that it would have on someone who experiences those things in our society.
Yeah, I think I agree to some extent, but I think there would be a tipping point. It would have to, if it became like it. I think there'll be an evolutionary thing going on here where if the pain became such an extent that it made life unbearable, somehow or other,
Well,
then it wouldn't work.
that's the thing, though. That's the thing. It's like, I mean, okay, like with that, like the beating of the slapping of women in that culture. This is all hypothetical, by the way. I'm just,
Of course.
So in that scenario, these women, they aren't like, it's not a physical harm to the point where they're breaking bones or they need some kind of reconstructive thing, or it is a form of, it is a compliance, what's it called, like, yeah, it is a form of like compliance. What's the word? Training, control,
Pain compliance.
pain compliance, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like, I don't know, like, I guess to that extent that it doesn't like harm them to the point where they are going to be needing any kind of physical, repair or anything. If it is all purely mental, that's where the question comes in. But if what is the tipping point? The tipping point might be, okay, yeah, these women, they decide, okay, I'm not putting up with this shit anymore, and then they don't comply, and then the question is, will the abusers raise the stakes, if you will?
Well, it's an interesting one, Noodles, and but I think we might be in danger of oversimplifying it. I do think that, for example, domestic violence. Apparently, there's still a lot of domestic violence in the world. Now you don't have to go to some obscure...
Yeah, like Sean Diddy Combs.
Exactly. You don't have to go to some...
I'm just joking. That was a joke.
Right. But you have to go to some obscure hunter-gatherer society or nomadic society in the bushlands. But having said that, I still think, look, there's a reason why people rebelled against domestic violence in the world, okay? And clearly, it's about, some people find it intolerable, some people can tolerate it, okay? Now, yeah, it's like anything else. Some people have a different experience of it. And for example, someone could do something bad to two people, but they will both have their own perspective on it. Okay. Now, it just so happens that the one who cries out might be heard by other voices, and then there's a critical mass. There's a critical mass of those individuals who can have a substantial change from that. Whether that happens or not, it's not guaranteed, Noodles. That's all I'm saying. But
No, I understand. It's very case by case sometimes, but I dated this girl when I was a teenager, and I'm going to mention that she's a black girl, and the reason I bring that up is because it's pretty common, at least where I'm from, particularly in the black community. It's more common to see domestic violence or ways to punish their kids that way. That's been my experience. I'm not saying it's exclusive to them.
I can't say that's the same over
here.
Show your sources.
This is anecdotal based on all the people I knew growing up. It's not strong evidence, but either way, look,
you're very Noodles. You're very
look. You can say that, but look, I was close with a lot of black people growing up, and a lot of white people, and a lot of Jewish kids. And the black kids got hit the most from the people that I talked to. I'm not saying it has anything to do with their skin color. I'm saying that was the culture they were.
It's probably to do with, if you look at it in another way, it could have been education levels, class.
It's just the way America has treated black people, and so that's been passed down. But anyway, I didn't want to get stuck on that. What I wanted to bring up was that this girl, the reason I wanted to mention that it was, and make the point about the cultural aspect of it, is that this girl that I dated, she sometimes I remember her and her mom were laughing. They were looking at this picture binder they had, and of her, when she was a baby or a toddler or something. And they were like, "Oh, that was on this." They were reminiscing or saying, "That was this time. Oh, you were She was like, her mom was like, "You were bad that day," and she said something about, "Oh yeah, you whooped my ass or something, or you gave me the belt," and they were laughing about it. And then I asked her about it later, and she was like, "Yeah, there was a number of times that my mom whooped me with a belt or whatever," and I was just like, "Well, how do you think that's okay?" She's like, "It's fine. I deserved it. I was being bad or something." She had no issue with it. She thought it was completely acceptable. She thinks her mom was in the right. She laughed about it. She thought it was a funny thing.
I mean, it depends what she was doing. I mean, if she was attacking her sister or attacking her mom, then maybe.
I don't think it was like that. She doesn't have she's an only child. I think it was probably something ridiculous that did not warrant being hit,
Right.
But what am I? This is she's this girl. I still talk to her every once in a while, and other than the fact that she's not vegan, I would say she's extremely well adjusted and successful. And I don't know. I also doubt that if she had kids that she would ever hit them or anything like that. But she at least back then, she seemed to take the attitude that it was completely fine and acceptable and necessary.
Maybe she hadn't, sorry to say this, but maybe the tipping point hadn't been reached. As in, maybe the violence that was imposed on her by her parents wasn't to the degree where it was so violent that it caused her to, hurt unbelievably, in a really bad way,
Yeah, well, her dad wasn't around, but I don't know. I'm just saying it's just this one. It's what I'm talking about. It's just this weird. It was how it was like looked at. How it was her mindset about the thing.
Right.
Like my mindset was so different when I first started. Like, I don't know. Like when I don't know when I was. It's weird because my dad actually was physical with us in a certain way. When he got really frustrated, he'd grab us and shake us really hard. He'd just like really hard, like really harshly grab us really our arms really hard and shake us, right? And I remember when I started like learning how to stand up for myself when I was a teenager, like hanging out with like other like the skinheads and stuff. Um, that like I I remember the last time he ever did it. The last time he ever grabbed me. I pushed him back. That was the first time I pushed him back. He was dumb. He was dumbstruck. He could not believe it. But yeah, like he never grabbed me again. But my brother like slapped me, and that was like pretty intense for me. Like,
Right.
but yeah, like so. But I just remember like finding out all these people, all these kids would get like hit by their parents or you know whatever it was, like the way that shit was dealt with. I couldn't fathom it. I thought it was like, oh my god, that's so terrible. That's like the worst thing ever, and they just think it was fine. So
Right.
I don't know, man. I think it's like I was programmed to believe one thing, and so I'd react to that thing that way.
Okay. Well,
I don't
thanks
know.
for that. Brother Marcus is back. Did you have something to add, Brother Marcus, or anything, or anybody?
No, it's just
Okay.
my thing refreshed. Sorry.
Okay, buddy. Noodles, you didn't get a chance to say anything publicly about what happened at the weekend there, the unfortunate, terrible events.
Oh, the
Yeah,
suicide bombing.
I'm just gonna go to the kitchen. I'll be right back. But yeah, you can say how you feel about it, and also yeah, anybody else can just chime in. I'll be right back.
Well, that person was a pro-mortalist. We had a pro-mortalist on this show for a little while. I believe his name was Brent, right? Brent also killed himself, and he had taken some animals with him before he went, or before he killed himself. He had killed some animals. Pro-mortalism is very dangerous, very sinister. Yeah, I'd say it's a bad ideology with a lot of harmful implications. Actually, I don't know. I was gonna say something about what happened when Brent killed himself, and I never really talked about this here, but I think now, like with everything that's like happening, like now that people are writing manifestos and doing suicide bombings and shit, like it's just important to know like what's going on. Brent and I had talked actually on the show about 10 days before he killed himself, after the live had signed off. He was telling me that he was telling me about his plans, and I just said, hey, like, I understand how you feel. I don't want to make you feel like guilty or whatever, but I wasn't really sure what to say to him, but he was even saying, like, because he knew that at the time I was kind of also feeling or having suicidal ideations, and he told me, he was saying that he would come take me out too with him. And I was just like, no, dude, you don't you don't have to. He's like, yeah, he's like if I could, like if it turns out that I can drive all the way there, I'll just do you and then do me. I'm like, dude, no, don't do that. That's like, do not do that. But this is how crazy these people are. You know what I mean? Like,
well, brother, why didn't you tell anyone of us about that? And also, because I was always against the suicide and against, like, anybody. I didn't want anybody to do that on, who watched this show and that. But why
because
did
he
you?
kept telling, because he told,
I'm not
yeah,
condemning you for it. Listen,
yeah,
I'm not
because he
condemning
told
you
me
for it.
that he wasn't. He told me that he wasn't going to go through with it, and he just said that it's something he thought about a lot, and yeah, I don't know. And also, like, yeah, I mean, he said he thought about it a lot, and that every time he would think about getting it or making it happen, that he just he just wouldn't go through with it. And I just told him, I don't think you should do that, and I understand your feelings. I don't want to make you feel guilty, but I don't know. I just told him that he could talk to me or whatever. And also, there's been times when, like, other people have been posting stuff where they want to, like, where they're talking that way. And I've messaged people, I've made comments, I've messaged people in, like, group chats or whatever, in Discord. I think I messaged you, like, I don't know if I messaged you directly, but I know you responded, and no one seems to care. Like, I said, hey, I think I'm worried about this person. Oh yeah, there was this other kid who kept posting, like, that threats of self-harm, and I'm like, hey, I think this guy needs a friend. I think he needs someone to talk to. And everybody's just like, whatever. So, like, with Brent,
When you say everybody, like, you got to be careful, because I know I wouldn't react like that.
I mean, you didn't. I'm just saying, like, I'm pretty sure you saw, like, my comments, and you were like, there's not, I don't, what can we do?
I don't know.
Like,
You'd have to
it wasn't
dig.
about Brent. This was like a different person or whatever. But um, yeah, with Brent, I just couldn't, like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to, like, snitch on him. He just he was just telling me about it, and he said he probably wasn't going to do it because every time he's tried, he wasn't able to go through with it.
Who was this other
So
person? Because I'm a little. Who was this other person that you were
I don't
saying?
even know the dude's name. He was just some black kid. I don't remember. Just another
Oh yeah,
person in
yeah.
this community.
Was it a long
What if
time ago?
people were afraid of liability? Like, if they get involved, then it means they have to tell. Like, they could tell the person might have thoughts of harming themselves and others, but you don't want to report it.
Yeah, I know. There's all of that. Like, the thing is that with Brent, he was just like, yeah, it's gonna, kind of the conversation just sort of left off with, like, yeah, I'm probably not gonna do anything, and I'm just like, well, dude, I know we have our differences, but whatever, you can hit me up if you need to. Um, Dude, like, I have friends who've told me, like, yeah, I really think I'm gonna, I really want to kill myself, or I was thinking about doing it or whatever. And yeah, like, they don't ever do it, or I tell people and they're just like, yeah, like, okay, I'll reach out, and they reach out, and it's like, whatever. It's just, I don't know. After that happened, yeah, like, I take it a lot more seriously. But, like, I don't know, dude. The what shocked me was that he was saying, like, if he did go through with it, he would come do me too, or, like, and also the fact that, like, he, like, killed animals just for the hell of it, like, that was crazy to me. there was all that shit. So
I mean, but next time someone is that way, just report him. You know.
yeah,
For
yeah, I
his
know.
own benefit. I mean, that's the lesson, unfortunately, that you can take from it. If someone comes to you saying those types of things, Noodles, yeah, definitely report him for his own welfare. You know.
And also, I was like not sure. I wasn't. I guess you weren't listening to the stream or anything, like, because it was still on. It wasn't live, but it was on your platform.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't listening.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just like the whole thing is really, you know, it messes with me because I get it. Like, I get the pain. I get it. None of this seems fair, but at the same time, I think it's just a paradox that can't be. I don't
I
know.
feel like a lot of people kind of promote that even though they say they're against suicide because they'll be like, I'm glad this person started with themselves or
Well,
certain people deserve to die and all that.
no, nobody fucking deserves to be taken out. It's listen, you know, there's no free will, and nobody chooses who they are. We've got to be more humane towards people. But anyway, I think me and brother Marcus were chatting the other day, and we just said, like, we know people who've had these feelings, and all it took was to hug them. Some people just want to hug. I know that sounds crazy, but some people just want connection.
Well, that's kind of what I was saying about like that other kid, whose name I don't know. He kept posting shit that he like, no one supports him, this and that, and that he was gonna kill himself or whatever. I tried reach.
Was it Sean or something? Was it?
I don't know his name. I don't remember.
Remember, there was a black guy I reached out to, and he's perfectly fine. He just online. He's fine. I know.
I don't know. He was kind of had a pattern of. I don't know if it was just for attention or what, but I just kept saying, like, kept posting, like, I messaged you too, and I did. I'm pretty sure I messaged you saying, like, hey, what can we do? Like, I think this guy needs a friend. I don't know what to do about it.
I mean,
I hope there's no shame towards people who do try to get attention that way because usually there is, and I feel bad for
No,
these
it's
people.
not shame, but like the thing is that it's not shame. It's just that people.
You cut out there, Noodles.
we lost Noodles. Brother Marcus, have you got anything to say, mate?
Yo, what's up?
Just anything about this depressing stuff that Noodles is talking about?
It is depressing. I don't know what to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're in a community with. Well, I don't even like calling it a community. We're in a bubble with a lot of people who are suffering, right? And that's why I think it was like kind of important, even for the nerds, to understand the area of the internet that they're entering into, because I stuck to my own little echo chamber, and I don't think that's good either. Like, you should know the broader, like, don't focus on the trees, like look at the forest kind of thing. Like, there's a lot of things on the periphery of the corner that we're occupying on the internet. And
I know for a fact with Brand, I did try to bolster his sense of well-being and to show him that
I think so I wasn't around during that time. I think near the end, I was on a panel and he was there, but he was quiet. Like, I don't think he said anything. But I looked at some of the history, and I think most of you guys like tried to, be nice and uplift him. So that's what.
I mean,
I would say
I think there's probably failures in his local community as well, because he was going around by himself, standing in car parks in like malls and supermarkets and all over the place around where he lived, with signs saying, we need to end all life. And I don't know if anybody ever said to him, "Are you okay? Do you
Right.
that? Do you know what I mean? Did anyone ever ask him? Like, we're on the internet, but there was people who saw him day to day doing that stuff in real life. Did anybody ever ask him, "Are you okay, mate?"
And who did that? Who was holding the signs?
Brant.
The guy that killed himself. That's what he used to do. He used to
Okay.
go around with
Okay.
signs saying we need to end all life and talk about that. I mean, even Noodles did a bit of that for a while. Not saying that, but you did your activism, Noodles, on the street about different things, and people did come up to you and say, "Are you okay?" and wanted to hug you and stuff, right?
Oh,
Yeah, a lot of people would pray for me.
And how did you find that?
What?
And how did that make you feel?
Well, like I felt like sometimes it was somewhat sincere, but I feel like sometimes it was like more about making themselves feel better, or like trying to win praise with God or some shit like that, rather than actually being like helping me, But
Right.
but there were some sincere people that seemed to actually care. So I don't know, like the thing with Brant, like all I can say is that at least our last communication was amicable. Like, I do feel guilty that I didn't, maybe say or do more or whatever, but at the same time, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say about it.
Yeah. Noodles, going back to the weekend though, how did you feel when you heard the news?
I didn't really realize what it was or who that guy was. I mean, I didn't know anything about that dude. I never paid attention to. You guys know a lot more about the people in this community than I do, so.
I didn't know the geezer. It was a shock, But yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's like I'm just saying with what Brent used to talk about. That seems all in line.
yeah.
Was it Brant or Brent? Brant,
I believe. Brant.
Brant.
Yeah.
Brant, basically his whole thing was, kill. It's good to kill because that means the being won't suffer anymore and it's less suffering in the world or what, I don't know. So
yeah, I believe Toxicity is correct, unfortunately.
These are people in the space who incentivize and motivate.
Not in my fucking space, but yeah, I mean, online there are.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so he was on my radar because he created a video critiquing Amanda's proposal of Activism 2.0, and then he made a video about that, and Gary promoted it in a way, like in a comment. So I saw it, and it was made sense about like how he preferred the original Activism, and criticized Amanda. So that's how he came on my radar, and then I don't know. It was just a dry, monotone, calm video. Like it was not like something that raised any red flags for me. But
we spoke about that since, Brother Marcus, and it is true. People's presentation, like sometimes psychopaths are very.
But just quickly before I forget this, on his channel, one of his videos is "Don't Go Quietly." Like
yeah,
that.
Yeah. That's scary shit. Yeah, Dogs, do you want to come on here, mate? Divine Hazel, No Name, Mike Donegan.
And I
If they
felt
were
that
a
way with G1.
psychopath, I don't know if they'd be bothered enough to do that. I think psychopaths are pretty unbothered.
That's an interesting point.
I didn't really
Yeah,
know
you're right.
G1
Sorry,
that well.
I don't want to mischaracterize him as a psychopath.
No,
I'm
yeah,
not a
because
psychopath, yeah.
that's a good point. Because yeah, psychopaths don't feel fear or
Sorry, I take that back. Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't know G1 that well, but I felt really down. Like it was a shock when he passed away too. Well, when I don't even like saying that, like passed, like he reversed. What did he say? Your dog reverse self or whatever. You know what I mean? You catch the bus.
Reversed imposition.
Yeah.
Nah, we fucking know what he means, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. And you know, Danny as well, and well, I didn't know some of them. I didn't know, so it's like, but it's just, yeah, it's always sad. Like I'm like, it sucks.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's why I like anyone that espouses like pro-mortalism, like definitely know that they have a potential to end up in those circumstances. I don't know many pro-mortalists. The only pro-mortalists I've ever either talked to or heard about are have taken their own lives. And probably, I don't know, maybe at least in the case of Brandt, he, killed animals.
And the
too.
proof is in the fucking pudding. If you're watching this, they're gone, and suffering continues. It's done fucking nothing. It's an idiotic philosophy in many ways. I know they'll say it's about the individual. It's better for the individual to get off this planet. But I'm of the view that once we're here, we have, whether we like it or not, people think this is very controversial, but I think we have an imposed duty to try and use our abilities for good. Now it's an imposed duty, but it's by fact of us being here. Now we didn't ask for it, and it may not be a divine order. It may just be a happenstance of just nature. But it is what it is.
Modern society makes it really hard to do that.
Maybe it's a divine suggestion, not such an order, but a
Well,
suggestion.
yeah, but I'm not. I don't. I'm agnostic, guys. I don't know whether there's a divine, controller or suggestive.
For sure.
power.
I just like to tweak wording. I like that wording a little better.
Well, Earth Dogs, mate. I don't know how long I'll be going, mate. So if you want to come on, do. We've got Pastor D in the house. Hello to Pastor D. Hello, Pastor D. Well, Pastor D's not able to talk at the moment. So, yeah. Anybody else want to say something, Gaia?
I'm good at the moment. I've just been listening.
Okay.
What about? Can I ask Noodles a question?
Yeah.
So understanding like these are ideologies that kind of are shoulder to shoulder. Like if someone's interested in this stuff, what would you say to the person? Like, I'm interested in Activism, or I'm interested in something else, or antinatalism.
I would just say it's a paradox. It can't be resolved. You're not gonna. I mean, it's not gonna get you anywhere.
Okay.
Really quick, I'd like to interject. I'm new to this whole, the whole pro-mortalist, ethylism, all that stuff. I've never heard.
Yeah,
any
I want
of
to tell
that
you to
until
stay
this
away.
group,
I
but-
want you to
Yeah,
turn
obviously,
around.
I have no fucking interest in it at all, and this has actually been quite an enlightening conversation. But the one thing I have to note is that I'm seeing this tendency right now where people are sort of lumping in antinatalism with these more extreme versions. There's more extreme ideologies, and I just, I don't necessarily think that's a good idea.
See, I almost I feel like even though I don't call myself an antinatalist anymore, I'm still I'm still on the same page with antinatalists in so many ways about
all the reasons that people give for having kids or whatever, but like,
Yeah, but Noodles, right? I'm developing quite a controversial view on that, and that is whether you like it or not, you exist and benefit from a pro-natalist society, or at least a natalist society.
No, I understand.
And I can't quite get to grips with that. There is something being said with that. Once you live in a society that is natalist, right, and you benefit from it, I mean, there is something about that. And I hate to say people who think that we shouldn't be here and go around saying it, and like, but yet they're living in a system that they benefit from that which they're campaigning against. There does seem to be something wrong there, and I can't quite put it into words, but it's no, it's not just that. It seems to be even borderline immoral, if we want to bring morality.
Is it immoral for me to be vegan in a carnist society?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to expand on the context a lot.
I think there's a difference between.
No, and even better
it's hard to disagree.
Even a better analogy would be gasoline. Wait. An even better analogy would be gasoline. Like, you're using gasoline, but it's fucked. Like, you can. But the problem is that you don't have. There's not a reasonable option for you to like switch to. It's not feasible for people to expect anyone to really function reasonably without using fossil fuels right now. But
so what I'm saying is, but yeah, I think it's slightly. 1 second, Jesus Christ. I think there's a slight difference between existing in a society, right, and campaigning that society shouldn't exist, as opposed to things that society like uses for its survival and campaigning that they should do it in other ways. I mean, there's a difference. I'm not intellectual enough to.
Well, the reason you benefit from natalism in this society is because it helps you survive. So I think it's a very good what's it called? Equivalent, or it's a good analogy to use to look at fossil fuels and anti-natalism or natalism or whatever. You need other people for the most part to survive, especially just for happiness. I mean, like, especially for people for most people need partners, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have partners if people weren't, creating humans. So it's like,
I mean, can I just say something for a second? There's something about it, right, whereby people who are anti-life are still here, right? And you might say they're here because they're enjoying things about life, okay, for the most part, all right? They don't find life so intolerable that they exit stage left.
Or maybe they're afraid of death.
Hold on a second, for fuck's sake. Will you wait until I've finished? There's something about that, being still here as someone who is opposed to life being still here, right? And then encouraging others not to bring that into being, which you are benefiting from. I'm sorry, there seems to be something immoral about that, and I can't quite put it into words, but it's something I'm gonna.
Well, wait a minute. That's also an oversimplification. You're not necessarily benefiting from like any particular individual. You're benefiting.
No, you're benefiting from the kind of phenomenon itself, as in, like, when I say benefiting, I'm not saying you're still. Everyone who is people who are opposed to life are still here.
You have no choice.
People who are opposed to life are still here, right? And I used to think that was a stupid argument. Well, you're still here, and I genuinely do think there's something in it.
This is like also like slaves and slave masters. Like, there's plenty of slaves that benefited from being slaves and not being emancipated, because, like, if you look at what happened, what do they call that? There was the
no, but what hold on a second.
Let me finish my point. There was that, I forget, there was a term for it, and I forget. It's something about like mountain peaks, like, where basically, like, once the slave, at the time the slaves were emancipated, it really screwed them in a way. I mean, obviously it got better eventually, but a lot of them didn't have any, they couldn't read, they didn't have
skills.
Yep.
Yeah, they didn't have other skills. So like, you know, like this is kind of, I feel like it's analogous to that too.
Okay, fair enough. You've made your point now. I just want to say, people who are opposed to life, saying that they shouldn't, people shouldn't bring life into this realm or into this world. There is something problematic about, they are benefiting from life proliferating at the moment, right? And then they're creating a stage for other future generations to possibly have a negative effect on their experience, because perhaps life won't be proliferated and there will be a degradation in society, in progress, etc., etc. I find that to be possibly immoral, because it shows a level of almost I mean, there's something there. I don't know. Maybe Yerf Dogs or somebody might be able to back me up here if they think
The
there's something
logical
there.
the
I
logical
think
side of
Sorry.
me completely understands where you're coming from, DNW. It's more the emotional, spiritual side I'm having a misunderstanding with. You know, where I need some more context, more examples of how, you know, what natalist systems are benefiting, you know, this anti-natalist person. You
Well,
know, I
let me just say, for example, for every
Yep.
1,000 people born, there's going to be an amazing brain surgeon. For every 1,000 people born, there's going
I
to be.
agree with you. I agree with all of that.
So what you're in danger of doing is creating a stagnation in progress. You're in danger of demotivating society. You're in danger of creating sad beings who are nihilistic. You're in danger of creating
nihilism is not the problem.
a future
Pessimism.
society. Yeah, that's true. I'll take that back. But you're in danger of creating a future society that hasn't got as many brains working on the progress of society, or even enough
And
brains
I am totally
enough brains to maintain the status quo.
no,
So
I agree.
I mean, it is a problem. I'm not. By the way, I'm just exploring this as an idea here, live on air. So sorry.
I agree, but I agree with you on that, and that's why I say that it's a paradox. But I also think that that's why I have gone from an anti-natalist to a conditional natalist, and specifically to more leaning towards a eugenics, eugenicist kind of thinking about things. Like, yeah, we should have more brain surgeons, more people that can do these great things. And wouldn't it be better if it wasn't 1 in 1,000, but more like everyone that's born has like these capabilities? You know, like
Yeah, but I think eugenics is a problematic word. What? But would
What?
you consider
There's two sides to eugenics. There's a positive side and a negative side. You know,
why
if you
not? Why
look at the
not? Why? Yeah,
definition.
but hold on.
It's only problematic if you don't understand what it is.
No, I know what you're saying, but I think generally it's viewed as problematic. But I think it's going to come to that in terms of gene therapy and stuff. I mean, that's a form of eugenics, really, isn't it?
Yeah, well, so eugenics is just saying like we shouldn't let bad genes proliferate. You know what I mean? We shouldn't let if there's people that have these genes that cause them to behave in a certain way or have certain diseases or whatever it is that makes it harder for us to, you know, have a strong society and benefit from everyone else's existence in a way that's symbiotic, then why would we let those genes get passed on? Like, it's like,
well, first of all, there's two things here. I think
I'm not saying to kill anyone. I'm just saying.
No, I know, but are you moralizing on it being immoral for someone with supposed bad genes to create a child? Are you saying that's immoral?
Yeah, absolutely.
But then
But then wouldn't it be immoral to stop them from having the liberty to do what they
Can
do?
I just speak? Can I? Yeah, all right, Gaia, 1 second. It does become then what are bad genes? All right, and I'm sorry to say this, Noodles, but it becomes a matter of power. For example,
someone who is you know, someone might be anti-Semitic and say, well, Jews have bad genes, get rid of all the Jews, or vice versa. The Jews might say that about the Goyans or whatever. I mean, it could go anywhere.
Ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Okay.
But it's not ridiculous. Humans have a terrible track record on this thing.
Population and say, okay, if you can, it is reasonable to say, okay, this population of people generally carries these genes that are proven to cause this disease or this defect or whatever. Yeah. And
what I'm saying to you is, right? I personally, no, you listen. I'm saying, first of all, I don't think people should be prevented from breeding. I'm saying the thing to do is to act after the fact with gene therapy for the child if it's born with a problem, or if the embryo has a problem. I'm saying it would be absolutely atrocious if we started preventing people from breeding, because where's it going to stop? And it is going to get genocidal.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
Totally.
I agree that we should use gene therapy to improve people's situations. But like, let's say this: you have someone who like has some terrible form of palsy, right? And whatever, somehow they manage to get someone else pregnant. Like the offspring is sure to have this. Let's say the offspring does have have this palsy, but even worse, like they're very deformed. They can't, their spine is completely fucked, and they're just in pain all the time. There's no gene.
Are we not at the stage now where they could do some gene therapy on that embryo?
So there's no gene therapy that is going to restructure their entire. But okay, maybe someday there will be.
It sounds like you're conflating issues. Like you're talking about two different stages of life.
And also, I mean, okay, let's hope that there's gene therapies that increase people's IQs. You know what I mean? Like that's another thing. Like a low.
Really? And I mean, I don't know if that's statistically valid. I mean, I've heard the more intelligent you are, the more likely you'll be miserable. So
well,
I don't know.
You are able to create a situation like it's not going to be a low IQ person that comes up with the technology for eternal bliss.
That's true. As I say, I'm just firing back stuff off the cuff.
This is going to sound harsh, but it's mainly stupid people that are causing a lot of the problems.
I don't know. Hold your horses, bro. I mean, I look at fucking Elon Musk. He's not classified as stupid. That cunt's causing a lot of problems in the world.
He is stupid.
I want to bring Black Hole on. Black Hole, how you doing?
Person. Elon Musk is a stupid person.
Well, Jordan Peterson says he's got an IQ of 160.
But
there's a lot of people who are intelligent, but they seem to be causing problems.
Not true.
Yeah, I don't personally think it's true. In fact, but I don't even know if I think IQ is a valid way of measuring intelligence.
It's terrible. It's beyond terrible. It's like freaking.
I gotta run, but
all right, bro. Nice talking to you.
Maybe we'll see if you're still around.
Okay, buddy. I want to welcome Black Hole. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, I haven't been on a while. I thought I'd pop on before you ended the stream. How's it going there, D&W?
Not too bad, thank you. You got an interesting little avatar there today. What the hell's that about?
That was just showing up on my screen. That's been on my web. It's usually just a black circle, but it just showed up, and why not? We just use it this time, just this once.
Okay.
But yeah, I've been listening to you guys. Yeah, interesting.
Anno says, but in the future, when everyone is smarter, even if the new dumbest people were the former smartest people, there'll still be a range of inequality, right?
Oh my goodness.
Divine Hazel says she desires to hear what Yerf Dog's opinion is on this. There you go. Yerf Dogs gets an invitation from his fan girl there, Divine Hazel. So, Black Hole, have you got anything to say or anything you feel like announcing to the world at this late hour over this side of the pond?
This would have been when I would have been going to church. I don't know if I feel like it because I got so much going on. It's hard to get work, and still living with my parents. Of course, summer's about to let out. I'm just sitting here. We finished the water pipes today, but as far as I know, this is a world like we were talking about, inequality. This is definitely something that is apparent in today's world. We need to focus on the fact that everything is basically here in a way that just it's set up for you to fail, most of it, and we need to come to the realization that this world is not the world it should be. But until that
Hold on,
happens, I mean,
Black Hole. With
don't,
respect, bro.
don't,
With respect, we have come to
Ex-
that conclusion. We're trying to do something about it now.
Mhm.
Is it not, Black Hole, something at the kind of bottom of every type of human progress? I mean, I'm sorry to be a bit hard on people tonight, right? But
Oh,
you know, Black Hole, you're saying we need to come to this realization. I mean, for fuck's sake, what the fuck is all the medical trials and medical experiments that are going on around the world, pharmaceutical efforts? You know, every day there's a fucking battle in courts around the world trying to get to some fucking fair, just fucking outcome. Politics all around the fucking world. There's people, you know, in democracies trying to provide their point of view. Do you not think that what you're saying, what people are saying, oh, this work we need to get people to understand that we're in it's fucking obvious, and that's what people know deep down, and we're trying to fucking do something about it.
Yeah, and it's just not happening.
So just fucking pick a cause then.
It should be happening. If we gotta.
It is happening. It has happened. It's happening. I mean, every fucking major religion says this world is suffering. Fucking, it's in a fallen state. You know, Satan is the prince of this world. We know that the world's shit. But what I'm saying is, Black Hole, maybe everybody needs to find a fucking cause, like a fucking way to kind of fix a little bit of it, or at least alleviate some suffering for the time being, somewhere or other.
That would be nice. It'd be nice if.
So have you got any ideas, brother, with respect, on something you could do personally?
Well, basically, just as far as I know, just keep trying to preach the word on my channel, and at the same time, just
preach with the word of what?
Preach the good word. What's the good word?
That's what I want to know.
Just common sense. Just help your neighbor, and just be there when they need help. I mean, everybody has a.
Well, that's good. I appreciate that. That, Black Hole. That's a good start, isn't it?
Well, of course, that we all got to start somewhere.
Yeah. So Yerf is coming on. Mason, if you want to come back, that would be good.
Black Hole.
Devon, come on.
I just want to clarify.
I'll be right back, guys. I'll be right back. I'm just going to go to the room. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When you say keep on talking about the good, I don't even know what you just said now. Shoot.
I forgot. I just, I haven't come on in a while, but yeah.
I think maybe it was the good word.
No, I think I said that.
Oh, okay.
Oh wait, did you say that? You said just keep on spreading the something. The good news, the good word. I don't know, whatever. I was just curious what you thought the good news or the good word or what should we keep spreading is, I guess, is the core of what I was trying to ask.
Just basic understanding that everybody has a mind of their own. Everybody's doing the best they can with the way the economy is. A lot of people are having to live with their parents when they shouldn't be at their age. You know, you can have a lot of good experience. You're going to have a lot of education, and you're still going to have a hard time. And that, it shouldn't be like that. It seems like things are just getting worse. And they should be getting better. Yeah. There you go.
In fairness, Brother Marcus, he did say earlier that the good word is to help your neighbor.
Yeah, that's where.
I think it might be almost like a sort of a bubble, though. Maybe it's just these people are the surface tension of the bubble about to collapse. When they finally do, they come to the realization that you're talking about. That we're all going through these things, so we should be kind to each other and help each other out.
I was looking for like specificity in terms of what does that mean. Like right now, I have a neighbor. What should I do? Like, should I make a cake or like, what am I doing?
Don't do anything harmful. Just be helpful.
Leave them alone. Don't do anything that's helping.
Don't harm. Period. Harm is not going to get anything. That's always going to cause. inequality.
Yeah, I think you're overthinking the situation. Active, passive, now, later, and it's
I like to be simple as possible.
How about
Simple.
develop an ability to have boundaries, to know when to be able to say something
You
to
guys
them,
are giving me so much homework.
ask them how they are when you see them, and also if they ever need help, just ask them if they need help. But also have the ability to develop boundaries, so you can say, look, I can only do this for you, and then I've got to go. So you don't overly become their solution.
Get them started, and then let them go the rest of the way. And if they ask for help, help them. But I've heard it said once, if someone needs help, they ask for your help, and it's like, do you really need help? And it's like, oh, maybe I need help. And then you ask them again, do you really need help? Oh, maybe. You ask them 3 times, do you really need help? And if they still are like, then you should jump in. But it's just some of these people, they don't know, they may not really need help.
That's a good bit of advice there, Black Hole. If someone asks you for help, first thing you can do is show them how it may be possible for them to help themselves.
Yeah, I've heard that said. And just get them started, give them a boost. And then once they're started, get people hired. The job market is horrible. Just the pay is horrible. The inflation is horrible. There should be more openings. And I've heard it. I've mentioned several times on my channel, and my other buddy on his channel, he mentioned it before, as well as just have a system where somebody comes into work, one guy for like 2 days and another guy 2 days. The work will still get done. There shouldn't be one guy working like 5, 6, 7 days a week, and these wages are horrible. You know what I mean? The system can be better. It's the corruption made that way.
Yeah.
I just like to be simple as possible, and at the same time, once you start somebody off, they can find their own ways and have their own ideas. But we got to.
For more awesome content, like and subscribe now.
What is Divine saying? What is it?
What was that?
Divine says, when we have it, we help others. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Hello to Yerf Dogs, brother. What do you feel compelled to say to the world, the universe, infinity, and beyond?
Is my audio come through? That's my first question.
It's kind of low.
Is it?
Or maybe it's just I'm on the phone, so I can't hear that.
I can turn it up this side. 1 second.
All right.
Yeah, I've turned it up to 196%.
Okay.
There you go.
Woohoo! I've got 200% today.
It's very loud now, but it's all right. Go on.
Oh no, I don't want to. It sounds terrible if one of us is crank. Anyway, I'll leave that up to you, DNW.
I'll turn it down to about 150. Then there we go.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. All right. Cheers, man. Yeah.
Okay,
I think DNW, you are touching on something that is with regards to living in a pro-natalist society, in scare quotes, and also you were talking about the JKY question, I think, as well. Was that correct?
Yeah.
I
was linking both of those, and I'm not telling anyone to do it, and I don't want anyone to do that.
I understand,
but I put a little bit of thought into it, and I think there's a point being made that to live in a pro-natalist society whilst also trying to bring it down is in some way immoral.
Jumping to immoral, I'm not sure where I'd go with that, but everything before that I agree with. Yeah. But I'm just being a peevish little pedant when I talk about that with the moral.
It's problematic. It's best thing to say problematic. Then it's problematic.
Yeah. I think antinatalists on the whole tend to be too glib about that question. Oh, that's not what antinatalism is. But it's kind of if you put a bit of thought into it, then it's not as cut and dry as what you're saying it is.
So what I'm saying, so kind of what I'm saying is, if we're benefiting from society as it is, it may not be perfect, but we're benefiting from elements of it. If we do reduce the population. Like if people suddenly come on board with AN and the population drops, it's going to turn to shit. And you're basically imposing on future generations that do come into it a degradation in experience, and it could be much worse than what we're complaining about now.
I think that needs to be balanced with the point that someone, I think Black Hole, maybe you should go on mute, mate, because there's a lot of shuffling and stuff going on. I think no single thanks, mate. I think no single antinatalist, people not having a child, and like me not having a kid, isn't going to impact anything in the long run. But in the broader scheme of things, if that's what you're pushing for, then I think we talked about this in a couple of streams back. If that's what you're advocating for, then I think you do need to consider the repercussions in terms of infrastructure, national security, all these other things. You know, I don't think it's good enough to just go, oh, everyone to stop procreating. Ha ha, I'm right. I've just solved all the problems. Duh, duh. So that's my scientific response.
No, it's fair enough. To me, it is an issue.
Yeah,
and it is also a reason why I wouldn't really bother, telling people to become antinatalist, or, because I think there's so many possible. I've always said you can't know you're doing good. In actual fact, it looks like you're possibly doing bad, in my view, by encouraging others to not follow through with whatever with this particular.
There's an argument to be made there. I mean, it was either Musk or Trump. Oh no, it was Vance. JD Vance said, it's been talked about that people who don't have kids should have less of a say in a democracy. And a few ANs sort of jumped up in arms about, blah, blah, blah. But he's got a point. It's a point worth engaging with, I think, not just dismissing.
Yeah, I've heard it quite a lot. Yeah, I've heard that quite a lot.
Very strange. To me, that's just like as absurd as suggesting that the kids should have a vote.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if from somewhere down the line, like if an administration like Trump's would give people who have kids extra votes over those that don't, and there's a logic to that.
They talked about that, a vote per kid. I heard that already. That was
something like that, right?
God damn, our fucking country's nuts. Holy
no,
shit!
But that's not nuts. I mean, you got to understand these people they're pushing for what their interests are and the future interests of the nation.
But they don't freaking, they're not the voice of the entire nation. That's freaking insane. That's fucking all the shit that's going on right now.
Yeah, but no administration is the voice of everybody. I'm just saying that
right now the percentages are a little off.
I think a lot of the stuff that's coming out now is basically an existentially panicked species who is on the cusp of massive change.
Like MAGA is a freaking suicide cult.
We're on the cusp of massive change in society.
Did you hear about the guy that was just executed in one of our state prisons? His last words were something along the lines of keep on at it, Trump, make America great, keep on making America great. And it's like, holy fucking shit, man. Like, these people are so off their fucking rockers, and they're in charge of our fucking country, man. It's nuts.
Vegan depends what he did. Although, yeah, I don't believe in capital punishment, but yeah, that was a joke. Sorry about that. Vegan Equilibrium, you're back. Hello.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah. How you doing, bro?
All right. Yeah, I'm just waiting for an appointment to start, but
okay, a late night appointment. What time is it there now?
It's 8:10 p.m.
Wow, it's a late appointment. What is it? A cam girl, or is it you're getting a tarot reading? What are you doing at this late hour?
Man, the images that probably have flashed through your head about me.
Okay,
no, it's music. It's a music thing.
Oh, cool. Best of luck with that. So, anything to add to the conversation? I don't know if you were listening to the Earth Dogs there.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed it. I wanted to hear what he had to say about the whole thing. I kind of have an idea what he might have said.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna drop out of the chat now, guys. I think that would be better. Cheers. See you later.
Okay, Earth Dogs. Well, thank you, brother, for coming on here tonight. Sorry to see you go. Pastor D, did you have something to add to the conversation tonight?
Well, yeah, I just got off the phone with Loon, and Loon says she wants to make the baggies with the noodles.
Yeah, right. Loon blocked me.
Loon blocked you? I thought you guys were in love.
Well, we were talking, and like she when she found out I no longer call myself anti-natalist, she like we got in this debate about it, and then she was like using Chat GPT to like come up with like the ethical arguments against not being anti-natalist or something, and I was just disagreeing with it, and like with what it was saying, and it was kind of heated, but then it kind of calmed down, and I thought we were cool, and then the next day I was not like, yeah, I realized she blocked my number.
So have you quit stop having kids, or?
Yeah, I don't do it anymore.
So you're a natalist now?
Yeah, I want to actually reverse my vasectomy and get someone pregnant. Anyone, really. I'll get a number of people pregnant. I don't really care who it is.
Okay, well, we can get a turkey baster.
What?
We can get a turkey baster.
Yeah. Actually, Pastor D, I'm wondering, can you get pregnant? Because I think I'd like to try and get you pregnant.
Oh my, that is a sin. Leviticus 2013 says it's an abomination to the Lord.
Only one man that's ever been pregnant, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Remember that movie?
That's right, yeah. Twins? Was it twins or I forget?
No, it wasn't twins. It was
is it good?
Danny DeVito. Yeah, it was Danny DeVito, and I can't remember the name of the movie.
It wasn't twins. It was a different one.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Danny DeVito was in that one too.
When you look into antinatalism, keep in mind that a lot of antinatalist content and organizations and material are going to be created by ethalists. So keep that in mind.
Oh, well, that's where there's a whole thing on, where you get your sources. I don't get my sources from communities, I get it from fucking, the definitions of things. And you know what I'm saying? I'm going way back.
People who are doing that are also ethalists.
Yeah, but we got to make sure we differentiate.
You make it sound like the people that write dictionaries are ethalists. That makes no sense.
One fine day, this stream will fly away from fucking ethalism.
Yeah, ethalism means against all life.
You guys know
that against creating new life.
Okay, go ahead.
Ethalism is against all life, understandably, but antinatalism is just against bringing new life.
Yeah, I still think that in a trolley problem, a lot of antinatalists would say there's certain thresholds where it would be okay to create a new being, even if it's like, let's say, a baby for a day, if it meant saving the lives of like so many people or whatever.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true. Anyways, DNW, you go down this natalist, what do you call it, trap hole, or down the chute when you talk about society falling apart. You got to remember, society has always had major events. We had the bubonic plague in, the 1300s. It wiped out a third of Europe. And that was in a very short period of time, like a year. A third of the population. And we recovered just fine. We had World War II. It wiped out somewhere between...
Did we enter the Dark Ages after or something? We didn't fucking...
No, we were coming out of the Dark Ages.
All right, fair enough. But our progress was hampered by it, right?
To some degree, but everything's scalable. The problem we've had in the last 100 years, or less, more like 80 years, is we've gone from 2 billion to 8.1 billion in really one lifetime. We can't keep doing that.
Well, we're not
There's
going
just not
to.
enough.
Do you not think we're on the cusp of like a technological kind of society where I know it could go hellish, but could also, benefit us, where people might not have, there may be a time when people won't even have kids because they'll have some like robots running around doing everything, and also maybe they'll have some
possible
gene therapy that allows them to live on and on and on. Who knows?
Oh, God forbid.
Well, it's a possibility.
It is. I'm just saying that we got World War II where 50 to 60 million people died when the population was less than 2 billion. We've had major shocks to the system, and humanity has continued. As a matter of fact,
but I'm saying when we lose massive amounts of people, it does affect the ability to concentrate on science, etc. For
to some degree. Yeah.
Well, I think it's obvious. If it's a numbers game, the less brains are involved in terms of analysis, the less likely we are to find a solution to a problem, right?
Yeah, I agree. Except for how much suffering, and you got to remember, for the one super scientific brain that's brought into the world and is actually nurtured and educated to the point where it can do something.
Yeah, I know that.
There's 1,000 people that are going to be in an apple factory putting together parts.
Of course. But if you're thinking about trying to end suffering, right? Bringing the brains in with immediacy, right, is going to get you there quicker than delaying it by hampering the progress with.
And how do you do that? How do you do that?
By allowing the Earth to continue. By allowing the
population. The Earth will continue, and humanity will continue.
By allowing humans to continue with their own biological imperative, without telling them, that it's immoral to do it.
Well, we can only suggest it, and I can only speak from.
It's not clear cut, the immorality, Pastor D.
Oh, it's completely clear cut to me. What right do I have to bring a creature here without its consent and suffer and die?
Pastor D, you're concerned that your loins could cause suffering to another sentience, right?
I'm not concerned about it, but I'm concerned about other loins, yes.
Yeah, all right. But listen, how can I word this? Basically, say there's two, man and woman, right?
Yes.
They choose not to have a kid, right? Because they're worried about suffering. They, in doing so, right, they open up their resources to be used by someone who doesn't agree with them, okay, in the future, because they won't have a legacy to leave behind in terms of any inheritance for a kid, because they won't have a kid, right? So their hands, their property, whatever it is, their money, whatever it is, will eventually fall into the hands of someone who is, pro-life or whatever, and they may well have more kids than, because of these resources, they'll utilize them in such a way that they'll have more kids. So, for example, say if it's a 3-bedroom house, right? They might say, "Well, I'm going to stick 2 kids in each room," whereas that couple might just had 1 kid, and their kid might have had 1 kid. There's less sentient suffering. Do you know what I mean? That's one weird unintended consequence of someone being antinatalist, because and it's like you can't guarantee these things, all right? You can't guarantee you're doing good. You're making a stand. Your intentions are good, but you can't guarantee the consequences will match the intention.
Yeah, you're making 2 assumptions, and I just want to point those out. Are you finished? Number 1.
Yeah, go.
Okay. The wealthy couple, assuming they're wealthy, that's one assumption, doesn't have any kids, and they die. They can leave their estate to charities that they designate. Like, they can do something that's pro-science, or they could do something that's anti-natalist, or they could do something that's like population matters. to sources that they desire. The other assumption is that because I'm antinatalist doesn't mean I can convince other people to be antinatalist, because they won't. And even now, the population is still growing. It's just growing in Africa and the Middle East, the lower Middle East.
Right.
So we're still growing. Now, Western countries, it's cut back quite a bit. But as the population shrinks, and according to the World Health Organization, 50% of pregnancies are unintended or unplanned. In the United States, that's 40%. So right there, even in this day and age, with all this information, we're still having 45% of the kids by accident, if you want to call it an accident. So,
I mean, that's an interpretation. Some people might not see it as an accident. But anyway, go ahead.
right, I'm just saying that it's so tied to a biological urge, and people are so irresponsible, especially when there's alcohol involved, and with young people there usually is. We're stepping down now, and even if it goes
that might be fair enough, but I mean, we might be reducing the population, yes, but does that mean that the population will go extinct? I doubt it, and it will also perhaps release. It could. I mean, there's merit in the argument that it could reach a level where it's not able to sustain itself. The progress will slow down, maybe even stop, and there'll be some kind of collapse, maybe for a time until it picks up again. It'll be like the bubble will burst. There'll be a bottleneck, and then it will, and then like in nature, you see like bacteria or mold growing on something. When it eventually it'll get to the stage where it starts decreasing, and then maybe it will start growing again because of some other, I don't know. There's a boom and a bust. There's boom and bust cycle. Yeah. And it kind of is the same in humans. That is the same. That's an analogy you could use for humans. Like when the population decreases, the problems that will still be there that the ANs were crowing about, but they won't have been solved, and the population will start growing again. But those problems will still be inflicted on the beings. Now, the point is, my argument might be that you're better off just accelerating our ability to progress as a society. That is one way of looking at it. Now, I'm just making this argument for argument's sake. Okay,
I get you.
So there is the view that if we slow down progress now, we're in danger of going to some kind of state, like a kind of new dark ages, And by the way, this is interesting because we're also just on the cusp of being able to hand the job over to AI, perhaps, So we're in very interesting times. Although we're at a time when humans could, kick themselves in the foot, so to speak, because they slow down the progress by not bringing brains here to solve the problems they're complaining about. We're also in a position where we've never been so close to handing the reins over to something that could solve it for us. But having said that, I have to admit, we're also in a terrible situation where we've never been in such a position where we could be in the reins over to something that will cause hell on earth for who knows how long, So it's interesting times as usual, Pastor D. And I'm just saying to you that you don't really have the answer. Neither do I. I will say to you, you don't have it at all, brother.
I don't have it. Well, I don't know if I don't have it at all. I do know that the fewer mouths on this planet that are sucking off the resources, the more resources there will be to go around. That's just a fact. There are finite resources with a possibility of infinite population growth, which I know won't happen. But we've done a fucking up job the last 80 years. I mean, 400% increase in the population, while simultaneously the West has exported capitalism to the rest of the world. So now everybody's got to have cars and air conditioners and computers and phones and televisions and microwaves and refrigerators and ovens and all that shit. It's just crazy.
It is crazy, but are we not still presented with the same problem, Pastor D, that we're in shit? You're saying stop bringing people here, but the people that will be here will still be in shit, and those problems, perhaps, we've at the moment we've got plastic in the fucking rain and everything. It's like we've got microplastic everywhere.
Yeah,
you're kind of condemning you're condemning humans to live in that for eons. I'm saying accelerate the progress so we can work a way out of this.
Okay.
You're saying endanger future generations by causing a stagnation in our progress. I'm saying don't do that.
I'll tell you
Damn,
this.
you're on
Jesus
fire
told me.
tonight, DNW. You're like getting into the ecology of fucking like natalism and anti-natalism.
No, listen, it's not
like
easy.
you're
I'm saying
going
it's so
deep
fucking bad
tonight.
here.
Both have
I'm saying
points.
it's so bad here. I'm saying it's so bad here, right? There is no simple solution. And I'm saying the danger is by caring so much, it's almost like toxic empathy because you care so much, but you're being clouded by your caring to the degree that you're being irrational.
No.
Anyway, I want to bring Earth Dogs in here.
You're hinting at the meta crisis left and right, DNW. You are fucking on fire.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, then we'll go
Lynn told me she's been programming. She's been programming AI to be anti-natalist. So,
Pastor D, I'll let you have the last word for this little bit of the interaction. Then we'll go to Earth Dogs immediately after. Okay.
Okay. Loon told me that she's been talking to AI and she's been programming AI to be anti-natalist. So if AI does take over, that's it. We're fucked.
Okay, well, that is a bit of comedy. As I'm sure
I
you'll
am being
agree.
comedy.
Yeah, I know. Because we all know that the AI is controlled by whoever programmed it, and they don't have the same ideas as you. But anyway, Earth Dogs, you'd like to come to the party again and say
let's put it down to technical difficulties. Let's put it down to technical difficulties.
Okay. Have you got something you'd like to add or say or change the subject, whatever?
No, I guess I would just like to respond to something Gaia said a little bit earlier. He was expressing some maybe it's not annoyance, but maybe it was just an observation that antinatalism has been conflated with all this stuff, and that's because the reason for that is that there's been a concerted effort over the past 10 to 15 years within antinatalist epheler circles to do exactly that. So that's the reason why.
To do exactly what? I'm sorry, I missed that.
To conflate ephelism and antinatalism.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the reason why people are conflating the two things. So.
Yeah, I was noticing even the Wikipedia article is full of fucking contradictions.
Yeah, I think you need to understand that in this space, it's the most active and vocal people. I think Mark referred to it earlier. They're ethelists. A lot of antinatalists just are not of the activist mindset, and so they don't. Yeah, they're not incentivized. They're not really interested in a lot of ways of being big influencers online or anything like that.
Right.
But it's and I mentioned it in the chat as well. It's ephelism and veganism. It seems to be a really toxic combination. And I'm not saying veganism's toxic. That's not my meaning. I'm just saying for some reason the people who latch on to both of those things, I don't know. There's just something there.
Yeah, there's some psychological fucking underpinning I get what you're talking about.
So
I don't know if that's.
Can I chime in?
I think there's other things you could choose as well, though, aside from that, right?
May I?
Like,
talking to me?
I would imagine so.
Pro-mortalism and ephelism, for example, or just misandry or misogyny and ephilism. I mean, it doesn't. I would say veganism.
I do agree with you. I take your point.
I think it's the other strands are more problematic than the veganism, right?
I think the veganism adds the element of activism into it.
I'll throw veganism under the bus as a vegan. You know why? Because we have seen. Remember DNW when I showed that thing about how do we talk to non-vegans and the level of disdain and hatred and misanthropy, and that feeds into the pro-mortalism and that feeds into the antinatalism. You have
I think Steve did. I'll concede on one point, right? And this is it. I don't think it's veganism that's the problem. I think it may well be personalities that are attracted. Earth Dogs. Okay, personalities that are attracted to the combination. I concede to that actually because it may be that
we've seen it, right? So
it's the activism side to it. So they have to have that. Like it's like the satanic trinity. They have to have.
Well, every single person who is now a prominent influencer in this space is vegan and ethicist.
Having said that, the ones that you fight against aren't. I mean, I don't. I hate. Yeah, I don't know.
The ones anyway. I fight against.
Yeah. Right, Dogs, do you have anything to say to Pastor D? I don't know if you were listening to him there, and I think you'd have to.
I had a little bit of a listen. I don't know. I think it again. I just hear it constantly. There's a lot of confusion about what these things actually are. Ethicalism's more than just being against life. It's more than that. So,
Pastor D, feel free to have a little bit of.
Well, for me, it's pretty clear.
Back.
If you're an atheist, I don't know. Atheism is against life. Antinatalism is just against bringing more life. I think most antinatalists.
What's your definition of atheism?
More specifically, that life is wrong and should never have been.
No, that's not.
Doesn't mean
that's not it.
Okay, all right. Tell me.
Atheism is an extinctionist ideology that mandates humans have an obligation to exterminate all life in order to eliminate suffering.
Okay, well then I'm not an atheist. I never was. I don't think most antinatalists are.
Isn't it?
There you go.
Once people find that out, they just suddenly go, "Oh, I don't feel obligated to kill everything."
Yeah, it's pretty simple to me. I don't have the right to speak for other creatures.
Yeah.
But I do have a right to say I'm not bringing somebody else here.
But notice how it's like the label. It's like life spelled backwards. It's against life. That sucked you in, right?
I agree with it, but it doesn't mean I have the right to end it.
Yeah, okay. But Pastor D, do you have the right to say you're doing good by your action? But
yeah.
You can't be sure.
I know I'm right. Not from the population standpoint, but from the suffering of my future child. Because if my child had
can I just say you are you're attaching some kind of egotistical and I would say even borderline narcissistic attachment to your own progeny there, saying that their consciousness is more important than the other consciousnesses that would be affected or disaffected by your actions. Do you get what I'm saying, Pastor?
I don't see how anybody is going to be affected by my progeny not being in the world.
Fair enough. I'm just saying it's not. What I'm saying is not a badge of honor. There's no guarantees here. I don't necessarily see that you're doing good.
But I would rather regret not doing something than regret doing it and then having all kinds of misery that I've seen time and time again.
At least you've admitted something. Then you've admitted that it's wholly about your concerns with your own biological line. It's nothing to do with other. Yeah, okay, you've admitted that much.
I don't want to end anybody's life. I don't have that right. I know that. I would never want to do that.
But what I'm saying is, if that's all it is, you're worried about your own DNA. Well, okay.
I'm worried about my own children suffering in this world.
You've done something for your DNA, but the thing is, you cannot say for sure that on the balance of probabilities, you've done good in regards to anything that is more substantial than that. Because
I can't guarantee tomorrow if I wake up and give $10 to a homeless person, that person won't buy bullets for his gun and blow somebody's brains out. I mean, I don't know that. My intentions could be good.
You might have saved your particular strands of DNA from future suffering, right? But you might have also imposed more suffering on other strands of DNA that aren't related to you.
Possible.
Or at least not. It is. And this is the thing.
It is possible.
If you zoom out from your choice and look at it analytically without taking it personally, you know,
don't take it personally.
You can say, actually, I can't be sure I've done anything good, or I could have caused more harm. You just don't know.
Yeah, like I said, tomorrow I could wake up, I could give $10 to a homeless person thinking I'm doing good. And that homeless person, not to my knowledge, goes out and buys $10 of bullets and blows somebody's brains out.
Yeah, okay. But I'm also saying, though, right, that you trying to spread this, you can make the choice for yourself, right? But you trying to spread it is potentially definitely going to cause harm for more consciousnesses than you're going to save.
How? Even some of the greatest people we look back in, like Ernest Hemingway and a lot of these great thinkers, yeah, they may have added books and art and all this stuff, which only humans need. They were miserable. They killed themselves. They drank themselves to death.
I know that, but
Yeah.
I know that, but that doesn't mean anything in this context, Pessimism, because I'm saying to you, it's all about progress, trying to somehow save conscious beings from suffering, and the only beings that can do that are humans, and they can only do that by being in existence and by being encouraged to flourish to do it. By the way, I'm sorry to make this argument tonight, and I'm sorry if it annoys anybody, but it's just for argument's sake, trying to get the conversation.
You're not an antinatalist anymore, so I'm going to give you a pass.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to,
I mean, you make a point. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just want to make one point, and I'll not chime in. When you're looking at definitions, what's usually in the dictionaries don't necessarily match with the philosophical concepts. That's all I wanted to say.
I agree.
No, that was for Gaia, because Gaia is going to look into this, right?
I get what you're saying, that the definitions change and evolve, but that's where, it's also how you put things in frameworks. Some people put things in frameworks differently than others, and as it has little to do with definition, it has to do more with just the way they're wired. So I don't know.
Yep. Well, I'll put it this way. I didn't ask to be here, and I do the best I can while I'm here. Hopefully I die quickly. Probably won't. But since I never asked to be here, why is the world's problems on me and my progeny to solve? They're not.
Exactly.
Well, why the world's problems aren't on you? That's an interesting statement. Why are the world's problems on me and my progeny?
Well, because
all right. Well, if you look at that in another way, if you flip that, if that's what you believe, why is it on you to start fucking preaching about, the problems that you see and how to stop them? If that's what you believe, if the problems aren't on you, why the fuck are you talking about?
Because I'm here against my will. And I'm going to speak up on it.
Yeah, well, all right. Well, okay. Now you're in the conversation. Now that you've given a reason to be in the conversation, I'm saying to you that the reasons you're given for your viewpoint and how you somehow you've already said you think you found the ultimate truth. I'm saying it's bullshit.
Well, you live in a land of futurisms and what might be isms and could be isms. I know that humanity, as far as we know, has been around for 200 to 300 years, and it's taken us this long, actually in the last 125 years, so we can talk to each other around the world. That's great, but it doesn't really give me a boner.
Well, okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but maybe you should try OnlyFans. No, I'm only joking. But the point is, right? I think you're being overly cynical about human ability to transcend suffering. Okay, and I think that there are more people. Obviously, there's a lot of mental illness in the world now. Yeah. But we have progressed in some areas, and there does seem. Do you like look at like medical news? Do you research? I mean, you have your viewpoints. Do you challenge them by looking at, for example, medical field developments in the medical field, for example, developments in pharmaceutical news, developments in science in regards to like trying to provide free energy or trying to provide clean air, better soil, healthy food that doesn't involve the slaughter of animals. Or are you just somebody?
I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert, but I have armchair understanding.
Do you look for glimmers of hope in amongst all the shit that you see?
Yeah, but I ask myself at what cost?
Okay, but but I would say your cost is myopic. I would say that there's potentially other costs to think about, as in the fact that life could go on for a long time on this planet, but also could be elsewhere in the universe. I would say you're myopically obsessed with what comes from your own gonads or what comes from other people's gonads, without thinking that there's bigger problems at play here. Okay,
Black
as
hole,
in,
mute your mic, mate.
yeah.
Well,
Please,
I'm gonna
yeah,
get my
cheers,
screen
mate.
on, guys. I'm having a problem seeing. I've got no screen here, so I can't see what the screen.
It's black.
So.
Yeah, black hole. Can you just mute your mic, please? It would be really cool if you could. Thank you.
well, I can't speak for everybody. Okay, I can look at the 300 people that graduated in my high school class. I kind of lost contact with college people, but of the 300 people that graduated my high school class, there's not one CEO, there's not one prominent scientist, there's not one rock star, there's not one famous artist.
All right, fair enough. But all right, yeah, okay, fair enough. There's not. They all ended up on the shit heap. But
I'm
can you
just
not
saying.
see that? Can you not see that there are other schools nowadays where kids are flourishing and having more opportunities? You went through shit. I went through shit. But there are that people have learned from that. All right, and it's horrible to be the person that someone learns from. But I suppose if you're trying to be a good person, we should offer ourselves up as learn from my mistakes, learn from my suffering, and hopefully try and use it to help others. I mean, that's the best you can do.
Of course. If you're here, you help people the best you can. Absolutely. I'm all for that. I'm just saying I don't need to make more to do the same thing. There's no reason for it. Because even if I make the perfect child with a 200 IQ that's super physically attractive and super physically fit and super everything, a car could hit him. He could have all kinds of injuries. He could have depression. He could have this. He could have that. And as far as I know, science has not solved any of those problems.
Listen,
they may in the future.
I completely understand your position. Obviously, I can understand the way you think about it, and I'm going to hold my hands up and say it's horrible. It's fucking horrible to think that this reality is so hellish that all we can do is build kamikaze pilots to try and fight it, as in and build people that we know are going to be slaughtered by it, and there's going to be terrible casualties. But it's like we will also make wins against reality. We will also gain ground, and we will also get nearer, knowing what's going on, but also trying to fix it for ourselves and others. I mean, this is the Pastor D. If you want to get rid, that's what we're in. It is as brutal as that. It's horrible. I'm not saying it's nice, by the way. Please don't fucking ever say that I think this is nice. I'm just saying it's so bad. There's no simple solution, and it's so bad that you, despite your best laid plans and intentions, thinking you're doing the right thing, could be making it even more hellish or elongating the hellishness for sentient beings.
Okay, I could be. I look at the shark. They say the shark is one of the most perfectly evolved organisms on this planet. You look at how much pain and misery and suffering it took generations and generations and generations and generations of animals to evolve to the point where it's a perfect killing machine.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard this argument before, and look, I don't like nature. I don't like the natural world. I don't like the nature that's inflicted on humanity. I don't like aspects of it. So there's aspects I do like, obviously. But can you imagine an ocean without? Can you imagine an ocean without sharks, where fish lived long enough to get cancer, or fish with that were injured? Because don't forget, sharks smell blood. They'll come after the fish. So you can imagine a fish that had some kind of accident or whatever. I don't know if that's possible underwater, but say they tore themselves on a bit of sharp coral and they were bleeding to death. A shark comes and puts them out of their misery,
Right. Rotting oceans.
So it's not as simple. Like it's very fucking complex, Pastor D. You get rid of one thing, there's other problems.
Yeah, you're right. I understand what you're saying in the ecosystem.
You do one thing, there's new fucking problems. We are in hell. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying, don't think there's any simple fucking solutions.
All right, I'll make you a deal, and we'll call it this. When society allows people a guaranteed, painless way to exit if they want to, besides putting the gun to your head or all these unsure ways that could fuck you up even more, when I can sign up to leave peacefully and painlessly when I want to, or my progeny would want to, or any of my friends' progeny would want to, I'll make you a deal. I'll stop being an antinatalist. But until then, there's no way out of this shit. So the minute you give birth to something, you're taking a huge fucking gamble on its life. And that's not fair.
Well, maybe start
My
fighting
parents did it to me. Your parents did it to you. It's a huge fucking gamble, and there's no way out if you don't like it.
Well, Pastor D, maybe you're being mistaken in what you're arguing for. Maybe you need to look at medically assisted dying for people who are suffering from
I do that too.
Well, maybe your time here is wasted, and you should be doing that.
Okay, it could be. It could be. The deal we made, though, is that if I'm going to make things or encourage other people to make things that are huge gambles.
You don't have to encourage people to do anything, but I'm just saying to discourage them might be problematic. I'm just saying it might be.
It might be. But I'm saying that I will quit being an antinatalist the minute society says, hey, it's not right to bring things here without their consent, with grave danger to the organism you're creating, only for the benefit of the parents, if there's no easy, guaranteed way out. When that happens, I'll quit. How I put on about antinatalism. How's that? Deal? Okay. All right. I'm going to sign out.
You do you, Pastor. Take care.
All right. Nice talking to you. Thank you.
You can stay here if you want, mate. There's no need to.
Okay, I'll listen. All right, I'll listen. I'll be quiet.
Does anybody else have anything to say at this juncture?
I think this ties into something you said maybe last time, DNW, about sometimes the only solution is to walk away. You know, and George Carlin said this as well on one of his specials, that, you know, the people who try to do good and get involved probably cause more harm than someone who's just jerking off and smoking a joint on the couch.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is that fucked up, you know. But having said that, I do try to pull myself back from being cynical nowadays, because I have been very cynical, and it's easy to be a cynic if you look at the world, you know, and look at the history of it and all this, you know.
I just watched DNW on one of Danny Shine's Antinatalist Day. Why did our parents manufacture us? Boy, you're night and day different.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it is interesting, isn't it? But you know, I always had the others. I think we all have this in us, Pasady. We all have the ability to see things different. I mean, we were all arguments with ourselves in our heads, and we're just somehow one argument becomes more vocalized at different
We're all
times.
arguments with ourselves in our head. I like that.
Yeah, I think we are, right. We're like, just as we're having a conversation here, we're always having conversations with ourselves. Although I've heard there's people out there that don't have any voice in their head. I mean, I have an ongoing dialogue with myself, and
yeah, me too.
I have arguments all the time with myself. Say that's fucking stupid, or you know this, and that's why I generally make my enunciations on things, you know, because of something I've gone over in my head. Yeah, and sometimes it's fucking stupid, but you know, maybe most of the time, but we that's what we're doing. And I'm just saying, Pastor D, Pastor D, you have other ways of seeing the world, right? Now, I'm not saying you're choosing to see it in the way you're viewing it. But at the moment, this is what you feel, and I'm not condemning you for that. I personally don't think it makes sense, right? But I understand that from your perspective, it does. Okay. Now, I also know that there is a possibility, and it's not a miracle. It's not some fucking born again fucking Christian thing. I know that with a certain shift in perspective, you could see things completely differently. But that's on you, as in, like, and I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying that could happen to you with a different experience. And that's just a fact.
It's possible. It's possible. Yeah, you're right. Can I share a little story with you?
If you want to know why I started shifting, was because I am that pessimist. As I said, I think we're in a hellish reality. But I think I like to be as honest as possible, considering I'm starting at that base level idea that this is hell. Yeah, I realize that the ideas I have could be adding to the hell, and therefore I have to analyze them very carefully. Do you understand? And it becomes, some people will say, then you start spiraling, it's stupid. But for me personally, that's what works for me, to try and analyze my thoughts to see, am I adding to the hell? Am I being disingenuous? Am I being overly am I projecting something that is immoral, for example? All these things. Am I adding to the hell? If I don't like the hell, I personally, that's my view, I don't like the hell, the hellishness of reality. Well, then I also don't want to add to it. Okay, that's my personal view. So I try my best to not add to the hellishness of it. Now, I'm not saying I'd achieve that, but that is honestly my intention, to not add. I'm not saying I can achieve it either, but that is what my philosophy is. Try not to add to the hellishness. Try to at least make it somehow less hellish. It's fucking hard, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Well, that's admirable. It really is. Can I share a little story with you?
Go for it.
Are you all familiar with what happened in California? They blew up that fertility clinic.
Of course.
Okay, and it was some nihilist that did it. I'm not sure who it was.
No,
so
sorry, go ahead.
Okay, well, anyways, all my friends, because they know my position on antinatalism, immediately and all at once were texting me, was that your group? Was that your group? Were you in California? Were you in California? Did you do it? I said, my God.
Oh, boy. Here we go. I'm just sighing in the background.
Yeah, I know. It's like, dudes, because I think bringing new life is unethical doesn't mean I want to take it away from other people's ability to do it if they want to, as wrong as I think it is. It's not my place. It's not my place to kill my neighbor. It's not my place to put contraceptives in my neighbor's food. That would be wrong, because that means my will is greater than their will, and that's wrong. And I don't understand why people can't understand that.
But you can't deny it was from our group. You
Probably
can't run away
was.
from that fact. You can't run
Probably
away from
was.
that fact. You can't run away from that.
What about the idea? Pat, I'm going to put this out there, right? I think antinatalism, as I've tried to argue, is irrational or doesn't make sense, right? If you're concerned about suffering.
Goes to me.
Now,
go ahead.
What about it? Not only that, but what about if it's like the gateway drug to worse drugs, as it were? What about?
You mean antinatalism is the gateway?
Yeah. What about if it's like the gateway drug to, like, say it's like someone smoking a cigarette and then they end up fucking being on crystal meth or something,
Thank you. That's what I was trying to say.
That sounds
about
like real
we're shoulder
fundamentalist
to shoulder
thinking.
with
Sorry,
ideology.
one at a time. Brother Marcus did start first, then Gaia.
That's what I was trying to mention, that we're shoulder to shoulder with ideologies, and they're bleeding into each other.
Yeah,
yes.
and that's another possible reason to walk away from antinatalism, because first of all, it doesn't make sense in my view, but secondly, it could be the gateway drug to other more problematic ideologies.
Yeah.
And
Did you ever see Amendum? I'm sure you guys don't watch him anymore because you're not an antinatalist. But
yeah, no, of course I saw him in the back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, a documentary came
Pastor
out.
D, you may not know who's in this chat, mate. We're really familiar with this stuff. Really familiar.
Okay. He did a review of a documentary that Jack Boswell did. It was called "I Wish You Were Never Born." And Jack Boswell flew around to all these antinatalists: Amanda Sudnick, Anton Lawrence, a guy in Texas who runs the Reddit group. Anyways, when he was interviewing Amanda Sudnick in Chicago, and she runs the Exploring Antinatalism podcast, Amanda was basically saying she was losing a friend a month because they realized they don't really want to be here. They were born without their consent. They really don't want to be here, and so they exited on their own.
And her group is partially responsible for that. That's what the documentary didn't reveal. She's involved in that.
Yeah, probably true.
Definitely true. There's no speculation on that.
No, I don't want to kill myself. Gary isn't going to kill himself.
I didn't say that. I said that Amanda's involved. That's all part of the poison that she's introduced into this scene. I said before, when people talk, when I hear antinatalists or people who kind of have sort of dipped their toe into the idea, they wonder why is antinatalism being associated with this? It's because of her. She has been on a mission for the past 10 or 15 years to conflate these two ideas. Had she not done that, we wouldn't be having this discussion about them being the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
Do I log off now before I just fucking go rancid?
Pastor
No,
D, do you
fair.
know who
I mean, that's
created
fair.
that? Pastor D, do you know who created that podcast?
No.
Dun, dun,
Okay.
dun, dun.
I
Well,
did.
don't tell him, Brother Marcus. You got away with it. I'm joking.
You did? Oh, yeah, your voice does sound familiar. You're the question mark.
Yeah.
You are the question mark, right? Oh,
You're
wow.
saying that. That's
Okay.
interesting. Makes me sound like a superhero.
Yeah, no, but now I put the accents together because I remember in the earlier podcasts your voice, and you come in with that like
Yeah,
donkey looking thing with a question mark.
Oh no. It was a llama.
Is that right? A llama. Right, llama. Sorry. Yeah, now I recognize your voice.
Camouflage just failed.
The drama llama.
The drama llama. I love it.
But yeah, the point was, the ethicalizing
I recognize
antinatalism it has happened, and
yeah.
Well,
and on this subject, one thing I'll just chuck in the chat as well. I have been nonplussed, is that the word, by the lack of response publicly. I understand that Gary said his bit as well, but there are others who were still waiting on to actually say something other than it's not antinatalism.
Well, it's not. It may be conflated, but it's not.
That's what I'm saying. There's a difference between the culture and the philosophy. There's
Right.
differences in these kinds of things. If you even look at the Wikipedia page, there's this Robert Zanderbergen has argued the definition of antinatalism is too narrow. And this is where people have different views on where things should be classified. This is language and philosophy in action. It's all living and organic.
See, this
We try to make it all art deco in our minds, put them in little classifications, but everybody has a different system at play.
See, this is the danger, because then it lacks accountability for when shit like this happens. Oh, that's no true ethicist, no true antinatalist.
Right.
Well, that's a good point. It's like, no true Christian. Yeah, you're right. And maybe people need to start getting on their podcasts and saying, look, this thing that happened in California is wrong. Amanda needs to speak up and say, look, and I know she speaks about ethicalism because she's an ethicist too, her ethicist movie, but you're right.
She's not just an ethicist. She is the person who is, she is the most prominent defender, supporter, promoter of ethicalism. Ethicalism is where it is because of her. She's not just an ethicist. Her whole purpose for doing everything
she's got 3,000 subscribers.
Her whole purpose for doing everything is to spread ethicalism, not antinatalism. Okay. She's using antinatalism.
I just find it really fascinating. I get all my philosophy through Wikipedia and my own internal musings. And
I wouldn't admit to that in public.
Guess who edits those Wikipedia?
AI.
Guess who
And
edits Wikipedia?
I find it really interesting because I still engage with antinatalism, just not with the antinatalist communities.
Anybody can edit.
But there is
Wikipedia.
no. Oh my God, I'm so tired of that fucking argument, man. I've heard that since I was a kid.
I know the ethicist who did that.
There is no ethicist, freaking segment in Wikipedia. I'm not saying that Wikipedia is infallible or doesn't have problems. It definitely does.
You just said that you got all your philosophy from it. I mean, in my opinion, that just discounts everything you say about philosophy.
I also grab source text nowadays. I read actual philosophy books.
If anybody else wants to come on, please do.
Was that Big Ben?
Sorry.
I'm just saying that there is no ethicist, article on Wikipedia, and I'm being told by you guys to, steer away from antinatalist philosophy. Don't engage with that at all.
Gaia.
Yep.
Ethicists can edit Wikipedia on antinatalism. You understand?
No, they cannot. There is so many Wikipedians that are so fucking bureaucratically fundamentalist that the second you change something in Wikipedia without any valid sources and context, it will be instantly deleted.
look at the history of that page. You'll find some information there. I'll put it
I'm
that way.
sure you'll find some little wiki wars going on, just like every article. But that's where I'm saying that, it's all, Wikipedia is all dualistic in nature. It's, it's a freaking living museum. And you're talking about, a modern living philosophy that's evolved, that's not classified within this museum.
Yeah, and part of that war is what we're mentioning.
I keep hearing Big Ben.
Yeah, no, it's me just trying to bring the show to an end. If anybody wants to come on here, please do. You got a few minutes to come on.
Anyways, question mark. I'm sorry.
Chat away if you want to, backstage or whatever. If anybody wants to come on and say a little piece, Yvonne, Divine, who else is there? Black Hole, if you want to come back. Anno, Bonanno. There's a few others there who are in chat. If you want to come on, guys, do now.
Now.
Yeah, it's been an interesting show. I mean, I suppose whilst we're waiting for the others, we can go around the houses and give our closing remarks if you want. Do you want to say anything?
No, not really. I'm a little flustered at the moment. Stuck between gears.
All right, brother Marcus, do you want to say anything, mate?
Yeah, just that as Guy was saying, there's when it comes to these concepts, it goes in flux, right? And that there's been changes over the years, and that when you look at these source materials, who's influencing it matters. And also that when it comes to accountability, like the no true ethicist, no true antinatalist, be careful of that, because that lacks accountability when people start to do that. That's all I have to say.
Okay, buddy. Pastor D, mate, do you want to say anything in closing for the show?
Yeah, Marcus, are you still an antinatalist or not? Just curious.
No, I'm not.
Huh.
Okay. Yerf Dogs, do you want to say anything in closing for tonight?
I'm just reeling from Mark's confession now. I'm shocked. I don't know how to respond. No, I've got nothing to say. I'll just let it go.
Okay. Yvonne, you've just arrived. Do you want to say something and leave it at that for tonight?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. And Divine, Hazel, what about you, darling?
Very interesting conversation this evening, very thought-provoking. Gives us a lot to think about and how we can make a contrast to everything that's been happening in the news.
All right, Divine, thank you very much. Well, yeah, I'll leave it there. I think it was all right in the end, the conversation. I think that life is very difficult, and I thank everybody for trying to talk in good faith tonight. There wasn't any massive arguments or anything like that, so that's good. I appreciate it, guys, and thank you. We'll leave it there, and next time. Okay, take care, everybody.
Okay, MAGA out.